Welcome to Born to Watch, where three old mates, an ex-video shop owner, an industry insider, and a black belt in 80s kung fu movies put their mastery to the test on movies that changed the world.
Hey there, fellow watchers. I'm Whitey, and this is Born to Watch. And today we're coming to you from a galaxy far, far away. A place where humans and droids coexist, where good is secretly battling evil, and the scariest person in the galaxy has a serious case of asthma, and the hero is a whiny kid who just wants to go to the Tashi station to pick up some power converters. Of course, I'm talking about the greatest movie of all time. Well, according to Gow and I. Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. Now let's meet my Padawans. G-Man, welcome.
Hello, yes, greatest movie of all time.
Well,
High praise.
well,
It's up there.
well, it's number one on our list.
It is,
Right.
it is. Yeah, looking forward to this one. I'll tell you what, really enjoyed last week's pod.
It was good. Yeah,
doing
I did
the
too.
10 best. It was a lot of fun doing that.
It was a good exercise.
So hard to get it down. I know a lot of people have been trying to get their list down and see their top 10. It's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's been good. A lot of engagement on that, actually. A lot of people putting their lists up.
I thought of another one the other day, which was really big to me as a kid. American Werewolf in London.
Yeah, great movie.
It's an awesome movie, and I didn't come across my mind.
It's in my top. It'd be in my top 25. I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That had a big impact on me as a kid. But
Yeah.
just one of the ones. There's so many. So
Well,
hard to get that list down.
Yeah. So there's been calls out for the top 10 TV series of all time now,
Oh,
coming
great.
from the fan base.
TJ Hooker.
Absolutely.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, Shatner at his best, sweaty best. And with us, we've got a very special guest flying into us from the Junlin wastes of Vicky Point. Damo, how are you, mate?
Yes, I'm good. And I don't know, because Morgs has skipped town, but don't worry, I've got Dog the bounty hunter out looking for him. So we should be able to find him soon. But that top 10 last week, was good. But no one mentioned Night Eyes 1, Night Eyes 2, Night Eyes 3. Like,
God.
what's going on? But I do, and we'll say Morgs was kind of funny because he talked about recency bias, and then he picks a movie from 1971.
Yeah.
And I just thought he was affected by obscurity bias.
Quite
I
possibly.
tell you what, Wake in Fright. I watched it after Morgs' recommendation. That's a different movie.
What'd you think?
It's different.
You going to watch it again?
I reckon it's one of those ones you kind of have to down the line because I watched it and I was like, what is this about?
It's a two. I said last week it's a one-watcher. It's a two-watcher.
Yeah, it's the next day I thought about it. It started growing me a little bit and I thought I'm going to have to watch that again to maybe pick up more. But it's an out there movie. But speaking of that, do you think Dog will be able to find Morgs? I mean, Morgs is a man of the land. You know, he's used to being out there on the land.
Look, Dog is good. Look, Dog actually is a dead ringer for a one-night stand that I had back in the late 80s. And Dog, he's on the case. Hopefully gets his wife on board. She's, they're packing heat. They got
She's the brains.
Yeah, well, they got their tasers in there like their utility
do.
belt
They
sort
do.
of thing.
I don't know. Morgs is used to foraging off the land. He's
He's a
Well,
ghost.
well,
He's Lieutenant Matthew Markinson.
he's a
Yeah,
ghost.
he's a ghost.
We might have to get then. What's that other guy? Bear Grylls. We might have to get him out there then.
Yeah. Yeah, well, if Bear can't find him, no one can.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, Dan sends his apologies. He's taking a well-earned break. He's on holidays. So enjoy that, Dan, and we're going to cover a movie that didn't make your top 10, but one that's loved by you nonetheless. Okay, 1977, the world changed forever with the release of Star Wars. Changed the way we viewed movies, the way movies were made, and definitely the way they were marketed. In fact, there's an argument that the 70s in general changed cinema forever, and we're actually going to chat about that in a relevant film school for F-Wits later on. Gents, what are your memories of Star Wars and when did we first see it? We'll start with you, Gow.
Couldn't tell you the first time I saw it, but I know I was really young when it came out 77.
Came out 77.
So I saw it around that time, but I just remember being transfixed by the whole thing, as everybody was, I think. I mean, everybody had their Star Wars figurines and their cases and all the toys. Like it was just so big. Lightsabers were the biggest weapon you could ever have.
Yeah.
Well, not the biggest weapon you could have.
Well, the Death Star was the biggest weapon you could have. The lightsaber was pretty cool.
But yeah, I just, as a kid, this movie was just so big and so good.
Yeah, it was a phenomenon. Damo?
Well, it was brought out in the States in May of 77 and it came to Australia in October 77. So there was always that wait. So there was obviously news reports and just, I mean, it's not
okay, so Gow and I are a little bit younger than you.
Yeah.
So you would have been able to see this at its original cinema run.
And I did, and I remember it.
Yeah.
So I went to the movies, like Dad took the whole family, we all went, and there was even a program. Like, I remember sitting in and I think it might have been Hoyt's George Street, and Dad was showing me this program, trying to show me like C-3PO, and he was saying it to me, and it was like me trying to say, she sells seashells by the seashore. I could not say, I was like, C-3PP, 3P. And I remember sitting there, look with the program. And then, so I saw it at the movies. And then I remember we went and saw it at the drive-ins at Skyline with a whole bunch of families not much longer after that. And then I think I went back to any time that I went to the movies, I kept seeing this same movie.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mentioned it last week in the top 10 list that I saw this on the re-release before Empire.
Yeah, and I saw that as well.
So it was in 80 when they re-released it back to cinemas, and I remember seeing it at Hoyt's Ringa Mall.
Right.
It hadn't been open for very long, Hoyt's Ringa Mall. And I remember watching this movie and just being blown away. And it just sort of changed. And I was only very young. I was only 5 at the time. So, but I remember from them, I was in. I was all in. All my chips went in.
Oh, 100%.
And this was one of those videos that when it did get released on TV, you recorded it, and it just got played over and over and over. And then the minute it was released on VHS, remember that got released as a trilogy was the first time it was released. Got released as a trilogy pack in a blue cardboard case.
Yep.
Trilogy pack. I had that. Then it got released again in a widescreen edition. I bought that. Then it got released in the original edition again. I bought that. Then it got released in '97 in the special editions in VHS. Got that. Then DVD got released. Got that. Then Blu-ray got released. Got that. Now 4K got released. Got them. It's like it's probably the one movie where I've got every still today at my house. I've got every possible iteration that this has been released on, apart from the original rental style in the big cases, which are worth about $1,000 each now.
Wow.
Yeah, as a VHS.
Have you still got any of your figurines?
I don't.
The originals?
I've got a couple of my originals. I went down the rabbit hole during COVID.
I know that. I know you've got.
So
I know you've got fresh stuff.
So the story is my mother
Certified fresh.
I had quite a substantial collection of Star Wars figures, and my mother gave them all away without me knowing. And then at that age, when you're sort of 10, 11, 12, when they cease to matter.
Yeah.
Yes.
But then when you're sort of 18, 19, 20, when you want to revisit stuff and go back stuff and stuff becomes nostalgic, I'm like, oh, Mum, like, where's my Star Wars toys? And she was like, gave them away. And I hated her guts for it.
I had like it's like a little case that you open up and all the figures sit in their little box, in their little row, and then you could turn it over and each figurine had a hole in its foot when you could stand, has a little stand, and you could stand them all up. And the full briefcase, I loved it. And then same thing, it went by the wayside somewhere, and all those. I had a land speeder. Yeah, I had an X-wing, like a proper like steel X-wing. Oh, and they're all gone.
I just bought one of the original die-cast X-wings. How much you reckon that? How much you reckon that cost? In the day, the price tag would have been. Oh no, the little die-cast. So remember the die-cast ones? They're still substantially they're probably 15 centimeters long.
I don't know.
I measured that the easy way.
Like made not in the 70s.
Made in the 70s, original.
Probably $1,000.
No, not that much. It cost me $80.
Well, shit, I'm out. Something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But
you would have preferred to sell it to me.
Sloan, our mate, has got a Star Destroyer with which had a little hole in the bottom, which had a plastic blockade runner which clipped into it, and he's got the Star Destroyer with the blockade runner. Still, that's worth about $650. Yeah. That was a $6 toy.
Yeah. Right? Oh, they're worth it.
That was a $6 toy. Now, look, the market on Star Wars figures are ridiculous, and we could do a whole podcast on that, but we're not going to. It'll bore everyone to tears. Suffice to say, I've got about 4 rather large tubs of modern and vintage Star Wars figures sitting underneath my house, which I need to insure.
But they also brought out cards too, trading cards.
I've got I've got trading cards. Yeah. I've gone back and rebought trading cards. Okay. I went a little bit mental during COVID, as we all did, and we all found a vice. I gave up drinking and started buying Star Wars
toys.
Stuff. Yeah.
You're the only person who gave up drinking.
Yeah, I'm the only
Everyone else
person,
went the other way.
Yeah, I'm the only person to give up drinking in COVID, but I probably spent more than anyone else. Yeah. Thank you to the government for the COVID relief package.
The Star Wars toy fund.
It was spent well. Okay, so this was an interesting one because I could have set the overs and unders at a ridiculous number here. I'm going to set it at 50. It's low. Yeah.
Over 50.
Yeah.
Well over 50.
Yeah. Any thoughts?
I couldn't hazard a guess. This is the movie I would have watched the most in my life.
Yes.
For sure.
Yeah.
In the hundreds.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Oh, not 100, so maybe over 100.
This will be interesting. Now, Damo has said that he saw this at the cinema, then he backed it, right? Which means that conservatively, before the end of 1977, he could have seen this movie 5 times.
Yep.
How many? Over and under 50?
Well, I reckon I rocketed to, say, 20 really quickly. And then probably the second last time I watched it was when at the movies again. Was it when he brought out those add-on
1997.
Bits? Right, so
Special
with
editions
all that
97.
shit, yeah. So
before episode 1.
So yeah, I reckon then I saw that, and I haven't seen it much since then until the other week. So I'd probably be around in the 20s, early 20s.
Okay,
but like I said, it was just. It's been 20 years really since I've watched it that much.
But hang on, so if we use Damo years.
Yeah,
Damo watches. 7? We turns up as 7's conservative, I think. Yes. 7.
Well, how many do you reckon you've watched it?
This is the movie I've watched the most. This movie was watched at least once a week in the video shop. At least once a week. So just in my time at the video shop, I've watched it 500 times. Just in my time at the video shop. This movie, I think that this could be 900 to 1,000 times.
Raise your bat.
Wow.
Can you raise your bat and we give you a
have,
clap?
And look, it may not have been watched all the way through, but I've watched at least 70% of this movie, probably conservatively 750 times.
Right.
Conservative. I think it is the movie that I can easily put on. I watched it 10 times last year. I watched it 10 times last year. So Mandalorian sparked my interest again. I started to go back over the old movies again. Even though I may not think it's the best Star Wars movie, I think Empire's better than it. But it's like photo finish. And the thing that gets Star Wars over the line for me is my favourite movie of all time. It's just the origin. It's the beginning. Yep. It's like The Fellowship.
Yep.
May not be the best movie in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Return of the Kings might be the best movie. Return of the King might be the best movie. But Fellowship is the movie that you go, well, that's the one, right?
I agree.
Yeah, it's scary to think how much I've watched this, but by far and away. As I said, Jaws has caught it in the last 10 years. Nowhere near those numbers, though. Jaws.
No.
But I've watched Jaws a lot, too.
No, this is one that just was constantly on when we were kids. Yeah. Constantly.
I could have
always
watched
rewatching.
In an afternoon. I could have watched this 2 times in a row. Yeah. I come home from school, I put it on, and then I watch it again. So there could be some weeks when I was a kid that I might have watched this movie 10 times. In a week.
Yeah,
easily. Like it was crazy how I was obsessed.
Yeah,
like it was.
Couldn't tell.
No. Well, the Yoda Club. There's been.
Well, yeah.
Anyway, so look, I think we're all well overs if we take into account the Damo Pythagorean theorem.
Yeah.
And let's try to say that and again, right? After having a few beers. God. Let's listen to the trailer so I can shut up.
20th Century Fox and George Lucas bring you an adventure unlike anything on your planet. Star Wars.
Stop that ship! Blast them! Chewie, get us out of here!
Oh my, I'd forgotten how much I hate space travel.
Here they come.
You're coming in too fast!
The story of a boy, a girl, and a universe.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
It's a big, sprawling space saga of rebellion and romance.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe.
I'll come with you to Alderaan. There's nothing for me here now. I want to learn the ways of the Force and become a Jedi like my father.
It's a spectacle, light years ahead of its time. It's an epic of heroes.
Relax. Hit the accelerator.
And villains. And aliens from 1,000 worlds.
Go that way. You'll be malfunctioning within a day, you nearsighted scrap pile.
Star Wars. 1 billion years in the making. The Force will be with you. Always.
Is there a better trailer?
Never been.
Unreal, that
Yeah,
one.
never been. And that's the original one. It's a good one. It's the original trailer.
Brilliant.
Yep. Okay, Gow, why don't you tell us a little bit about Star Wars?
All right, I found a good synopsis for you guys today. You'll like this. Star Wars is an elaborately spectacular film that represents the ultimate in cinematic entertainment. George Lucas's unrivaled passion for space fantasy, adventure, and romance is captured on screen with awesome special effects and extraordinary, bizarre space creatures. Princess Leia is held hostage by the evil Imperial forces and their evil leader, Darth Vader, in the effort to take over the galaxy. Venturesome Luke Skywalker and dashing Captain Han Solo, together with the lovable robot duo R2-D2 and C-3PO, to rescue the beautiful princess and restore justice to the galaxy.
Yeah.
Ta-da.
You don't often get people called venturesome.
Yeah, I've never heard it before.
No, yeah.
And is he ever referred to as Captain Solo, like in the movie? Or is he just because he's the captain of a ship?
The scruffy looking
Yeah,
nerf herder.
is captain of the ship. And he's walking carpet.
Yeah. Laugh it up, fuzzball. Yeah, good synopsis, Gow. I like it. Okay, critical thinking. IMDb has this movie rated 8.6 out of 10 and is number 28 in the IMDb top 250. 93% rating on the tomato meter and a 96% audience score. Certified fresh, obviously. This movie rates its tits off. It's a critical and a commercial success. Everybody loved it.
Oh, mate. We'll get to the figures in a little bit,
Yeah.
but it's just a bit crazy,
it's
when
crazy.
you look at the box office for this compared to the rest of the year.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so remember our mate Dave Kerr, who
Yes.
Wayne's brother, who
Yep,
From
yep.
the
who was the king,
Boston or
the
no,
Chicago reader,
Oh, right, yep.
and he was the king of the bad review.
Yeah.
Not this time.
Okay.
Ooh.
So we got Davey Kerr. George Lucas's science fiction adventure is an exhilarating update of Flash Gordon, very much in the same half jokey, half earnest mood, but backed by special effects that, for once, really work and are intelligently integrated with a story. Well done, Dave.
He's
That must have
right.
been hard for him to write.
Did he write that back then?
Nah, well, it was revisited in 2015 when he
Right,
wrote the
right,
review. I couldn't find any. The original reviews were all too good. So I need to find something.
I'd imagine, yeah, because he mentions the effects. Like the effects, everyone would have been blown away by the effects back at that time.
Yeah, mate, it was incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Oh, they're amazing.
Yeah. For the time, I watched a documentary this morning, which I'll talk a bit about later, but how they did it and on a shoestring was incredible.
What do you think about the digitally remastered version? Or are we going to get
We're
to
going to
that?
get to that.
Okay.
We're going to get to that. Keep them in your pants, Gow. Okay, the bad one. We've got Helen Frizzell from the Sydney Morning
Oh,
Herald.
hang on.
Yeah.
Helen Frizzell.
Yeah, Tyson's mum.
Frizzell Mazda?
Yeah.
Gold
Yeah,
Coast?
yeah, James Frizzell. Yeah, absolutely. So, the astronomical audiences. The mundane story. The overcute little robots. One fat, one thin. The vapid actors. The galactic shootouts. The brilliant technology. And the boredom of it all.
Oh, the attitude.
That's what's her name?
Helen Frizzell.
Yeah.
She's never mentioned on our show again.
She shall never be mentioned. And not only that, let's egg her house.
Well, and you know what? She probably looks like Dog the Bounty Hunter.
She's looking for Morgs as we speak. Another literary giant. Okay, well, I had to dig deep to find there. I think there was 75 reviews on this, and there were 5 bad ones. So I found a pretty bad one. Okay, ordinary people, gal, take it away.
All right, here we go. We'll start with Mark Hamill. He actually made his acting debut on The Bill Cosby Show in 1970. He was also on you remember General Hospital, the soap opera, American
Yeah.
Something? He had a
When I
recurring
was
role.
sick at home if I was on a school day.
Yeah, that's when it was on daytime TV.
It's about the only thing you could watch. Yeah.
He had a recurring role as Kent Murray. Kent Murray.
Oh, what a name.
Ken Brockman.
But yeah, then straight into Star Wars in 77, and obviously, that was a huge success, and that was kind of where he was. So his next movie after that was a movie called Corvette Summer in 1978. He starred as Kenneth Dantley Jr.
Ooh.
And he's with Annie Potts. You know Annie Potts
Yeah,
from
from
Ghostbusters?
Ghostbusters.
Yep.
Right? So the cover tagline for this movie has them both on the top of a car, or sitting at the top of a car that's driving on the road, and the tagline says, Mark Hamill, who you loved in Star Wars. It's just directly riding off the back.
Star Wars.
Yeah.
And this go and watch this movie.
Yeah, but obviously that's where Mark Hamill is known is for the Star Wars movies and the franchise. And look, he's done a heap of
voice acting.
Voice acting, like
Well, he's the Joker in the Batman animated series. He could be the best. Could be after Heath Ledger the best Joker. He's
I've heard people
incredible.
say that, yeah.
But look, just some of the ones he's done. He's done Masters of the Universe, Revelation, Scooby Doo, and guess who? Child's Play. He was Chucky's voice in the remake of Child's Play.
Okay.
Lego DC Supervillains, Transformers, Johnny Bravo. He had a recurring role. So and that's only part of what he's done. So he's done a lot apart from the later Star Wars movies.
The one that I loved him in when he was in Jay and Silent Bob. Are we going to talk about
He
that?
plays the baddie, doesn't he?
Yeah,
Cocknocker.
Cockknocker.
With a massive fist. And they, why do you call him Cockknocker? And he's used that massive fist and just punched him in the balls. That to me is my favourite Mark Hamill.
Yeah,
like,
it was really good.
Just so funny.
Yeah, really funny.
The villain, Cockknocker.
Good name too. He had it might have been just after or during the filming of Red Corvette. He had a car accident or a motorcycle accident, which is why they had to work in the Wampa scene in Empire Strikes Back, because that facial scarring is actually that's real facial scarring. Yeah.
All right, so when he was actually cast on 8 Is Enough, remember that show?
Oh, with the Bradfords.
Yes.
Tommy, Bobby, never heard of it.
Yeah. So he was actually the part that went to Grant Goodeve, who was the little kid in it.
Yep.
He was cast in that. And then but then he asked to be released for his contract for Star Wars because he thought it was going to be good, but they refused to release him. Then he had his car crash. And then they moved on from him. So what a sliding door that is. I mean, 8 Is Enough is a good show. It's no Star Wars.
Yeah, it didn't keep going, did it? It was a couple of seasons.
So for Star Wars, the first movie, he earned $650,000 plus 0.25% of the back end.
Oh, well.
Jeez.
So there you go.
No, and you know what? It's not weird that he hardly worked again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I think that he's a zillionaire so many times over because of just the 0.25%.
Well, but look, 77 they make Star Wars, then he makes another movie, but then 1980 is Empire Strikes Back, and then this thing is big.
Yeah, and
right?
then
83 is Return of the Jedi, and then it's super huge, and he is Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. He's getting kicks.
Well, he's nothing else, is he? Though
he's
if you look
typecast.
at him, what else? And that's possibly why he moved to a lot of the voice, because
stuff,
you look at his head and you go, "Well, where's your lightsaber, mate?"
Yeah, that's right, and that's the thing, and he maybe didn't want to do any more than that. He might have gone, you know what, I'm riding this wave.
That and the fact he's quite a whiny bitch.
All right, let's move on. Harrison Ford next up. Had some early TV roles in Ironside and Gunsmoke, but his first big movie role was in American Graffiti. Bob Falfa.
Oh,
73.
What was he driving? The 56 Chev, like with a big 454 in it.
Yeah.
That's actually one of my favourite movies.
Yeah, it's a good movie.
Yeah.
Got Richie Cunningham in it.
Yeah.
It's got Laverne out of Laverne and Shirley.
Yeah, sure. It's
Richard Dreyfuss. It's a massive
There's heaps
cast
of them,
of up and comers.
All that diner and a whole heap of cars are at Universal Studios in Florida. And I walked around the corner and I went, holy shit.
Wow.
It's the American Graffiti diner, all these like old Chevs, Wasn't John Milner's 32 Ford, which was that's who he raced Bob Falfer, but that was all there. I was like, oh my God, that was so cool.
Yeah.
And yeah, just to see that. But yeah, he was awesome in that.
Oh, unreal.
Yeah.
And then obviously next big movie was as Han Solo, and we've been through the story before of how he got this role. So
We've done Harrison a bit.
I don't think we need to go through all that. But
Yeah.
look, he's been in, tons of movies. He was obviously in the Raiders of the Lost Ark franchises. There's Witness. He was a BAFTA and an Oscar nominee. He's been in tons of movies. We won't go to Patriot Games.
Love The Fugitive. Fugitive
Fugitive
would be my
was the
favourite
best.
Harrison Ford movie.
Blade Runner.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love The Fugitive.
Yeah.
Do you know I saw The Fugitive for the first time at DYRSL Auditorium? Didn't see it at the movies. And it was like, remember they'd play on a Friday night or on a Sunday night, they have the auditorium movie?
Yes.
Mate, they did it at Forestville RSL every Tuesday night.
And whatever night it was, I remember that I saw The Fugitive there and I was like, why the fuck didn't I see this at the cinema, you dick? Yeah.
Just an awesome movie.
Great movie.
Yep. So 7 Days, 7 Nights isn't in your top Harrison Ford?
No, but it's in my top Anne Heche movies.
It is such a dreadful movie.
It's the worst. It's the worst.
So unfunny. It's the jokes are the lamest.
Yeah.
I was like,
it's bad.
whoa.
It's bad. Continue, G-Man.
All right. We can quickly talk about Carrie Fisher as well. Well, just American Graffiti. What do you reckon he earned for that? I've talked about this before.
Wow.
$750.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. I really don't know because, yeah, he was an unknown.
$500 a week he was being paid.
Oh. Right.
For Star Wars, he was paid $10,000.
Hang on. So Mark Hamill was $650,000?
Yeah, and I don't know what if he got. I don't know. I don't have any more details on what his deal was with back end or anything like that. But that was the base.
Wow.
And then for the last Star Wars movie, for the last Indiana Jones movie, it's coming out this year, $25 million.
Yeah, that looks good.
It's a little
I'm looking
different.
forward to seeing that. Steven Spielberg's giving it a thumbs up. He's seen it.
Yeah, it looks like he's going back in time or something. Or
It's the Dial of Destiny, man.
okay, so they're dialing some date and they can
Back into
into
destiny of a dial.
But yeah, look. So Carrie Fisher, she made a stage debut in 1975. In the chorus of a musical scene, which featured her mum, Debbie Reynolds. And obviously she was a little typecast as well. Star Wars Empire Strikes Back. The Blues Brothers. She was the mystery woman in Blues Brothers. Really good role.
Machine gun.
Yep. Obviously Return of the Jedi. She was in The Burbs, When Harry Met Sally, which we went through a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Drop Dead Fred. And she did a lot of voiceovers for The Family Guy. She's just done about 25 episodes in the last few years before she passed away. But interestingly, she turned down the role of Sarah Connor in Terminator, which went to Linda Hamilton.
Can't see anyone but Linda Hamilton.
Once she's in there, yeah.
But I suppose with Blues Brothers, where you see Carrie Fisher like going nuts with the guns and stuff, probably could have done it.
Yeah. I don't think she would have done a bad job, but it's just hard to see anyone else.
No.
Could she have gotten as buff as Linda Hamilton in T2?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Really, it's with there was probably 50 actresses in line for Terminator because James Cameron wanted to root them all. Right, it is
Casting
a
couch?
absolute casting couch for James Cameron. He roots all his leading ladies.
Oh, okay.
Loves it.
Nice.
Go, Jimmy. I don't think he put away Kate Winslet though. Remains to be seen though.
Yeah.
All right, one more we'll talk about is Sir Alec Guinness.
Mm.
Now, he'd been around a long time. He'd been a massive stage actor and he'd been in a lot of movies. He was in Oliver Twist as Fagin in 1948.
Yeah.
The Bridge on the River Kwai in
That's a great
57.
movie.
Lawrence of Arabia, Dr. Zhivago. So he was quite a big name.
Seriously old when he
was
stars in and like a cinema statesman.
Yeah.
Like, well above the quality of the people he's acting with.
Yeah.
Well, he did this movie because he read the script and said, "Oh, I think this is going to be a good movie." But by the end of it, he was like,
"This is going to be shit."
No, he's like, "I'm sick of talking this mumbo jumbo and all that." You know,
I got a bit on that and listened to this.
Yeah,
he wrote some excerpts out of his book.
Yeah,
which talk about it.
But he did think it was going to be a big movie when he looked at the script. He went,
well, never been done before, so he's like,
yeah.
But look, here's a little fact for you: he's the only Star Wars actor that's had a nomination for an Academy Award.
For an actor, right?
That's it. I would have thought
he's the only person to receive a Best Acting nomination out of any of the movies.
Yeah, you would have.
No, that's probably. I think fair enough. Maybe.
Yeah, you don't think Harrison Ford? At some
maybe it's
stage?
the support, maybe or something. Yeah.
So was he nominated for Star Wars?
Yep.
Okay.
The original.
Wow. Yeah.
And then he's the only one.
Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go. What about the box office stuff, yeah?
All right, I'll tell you. So, the gross for this movie was $461 million domestically, $314.5 internationally for $775 million in 1977, an $11 million budget. $11 million.
It was actually an $8 million budget.
Wow!
And they had to get more money, so they got another $3 million to finish the movie. Yeah.
So this was the first movie to make over $300 million at the domestic box office and the first to cross over $500 million worldwide in its release. So it was number one, obviously, money-wise that year. What do you reckon the number 2 movie was?
In 77?
Yep.
I think I do know.
What do you reckon?
I think, is there a Pontiac Firebird in it? A Trans Am?
Smokey and the Bandit?
No, Smokey was number 5,
okay.
126. The second biggest movie that year was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Oh, well, that's an awesome movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And that grossed $340 million.
Right.
So it's half of what Star Wars did. That's how big that movie was.
But the movie releases then, Star Wars would have been at the movies for
2 years.
I was thinking, like, because now it's a pretty short window.
Yeah.
It must have been there. Was it for 2? Probably, yeah.
It would have been.
Like, for at least the first year, it would have been.
Definitely, like, would have been playing 5 sessions a day.
Yeah. And then
in every theatre on the planet for a year.
Yeah. Easy, yes.
Easy. And then, but I still think it's still in the cinemas into 79.
Well, it was, because especially when they brought out Empire, but then it came. But yeah, that's the window for movies then was so much longer. But yeah, you go back again.
Yeah,
go a month later and go and watch it again. Yeah. But now, if you don't see a movie in the first month, it's generally
gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
But look, other movies that year. So Star Wars got 6 awards that year: Best Original Score for John Williams, Best Sound, Best Costume Design, Best Art Direction, Best Film Editing, and Best Visual Effects. Annie Hall won 4 awards, but they were Best Picture, Best Director for Woody Allen, Best Actress for Diane Keaton, and Richard Dreyfuss won Best Actor for The Goodbye Girl. So yeah, it got the most awards, but not in the acting, not in the big awards,
the glamorous categories. Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunate, but probably, in all honesty, probably about right.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the movie isn't the movie it is because of the actors, or because of the characters. They're more about the characters, not the performances. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The story, the visuals, the special effects.
Yeah. Absolutely. Okay, very, very good, Gow. We forgot one person, though. James Earl Jones as the voice of Darth Vader.
Yeah.
So is there more an iconic voice in all of cinema?
No.
There can't be.
No.
James Earl Jones was brought in at the 11th hour to go over David Prowse, who was Darth Vader, who was an English guy, and thank God they did, because have you seen any outtakes where you hear the voice of?
I have heard that. Yeah.
I don't know. I'm picturing he sounds like David Beckham or something.
He doesn't. He sounds like just a bit of a hoity-toity Englishman.
Right.
So that depth and obviously it's gone through a lot of mixing to get that Vader tone, but you can tell that's James Earl Jones. I remember watching Conan the Barbarian for the first time and hearing James Earl Jones speak in that and go,
sounds like,
is that Darth Vader?
Yeah, right.
Straight away. And I was like, back then, I don't know how I did the research, but figured out that that James Earl Jones was, I think I went through the credits of Star Wars to find voiced by James Earl Jones.
One of the most easily recognisable voices
Incredible
ever.
voice.
Like, it's just
incredible voice.
Just so unique.
Such a timber.
Actually,
yes.
But I will say the one other person that you did miss, William Hootkins, Red Six, Porkins.
Yes.
Yeah.
Porkins.
And I don't know if you noticed, but the perp.
Yeah.
The other week I saw a photo of her. She was wearing a shirt that's had Red 6 on it.
That's about the
Don't you hang on?
It's not. It could be Red 6.
Of course, it's
not
a Porkins fan club.
I know it's a Porkins. She would be president of the Porkins fan club.
Yeah.
I'll give you the tip, but it's not. It's the
bullshit. I know.
It's the military. It's the military.
Is that Red? Is that like what Hans Gruber? You heard about them in Time magazine?
The 7,
the 7 glory holes. My God. Okay. No, Red 6, she reps it all the time. It's the rep and the 6. It's the military mental health group.
Founded by
Yep.
Porkins. Who's in the
And Johnny
military.
Ball's big on it as well, actually. Okay, well done. 1977, hit, sleeper, dud. It's a big year this year. I got 2 hits, 2 sleepers, but there will only be 1 dud. Now, we've already spoken about this movie. My number 1 hit for the year, we obviously can't talk about Star Wars, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Steven Spielberg, Roy Neary, who's played by Richard Dreyfuss, Indiana Electric lineman, finds his quiet and ordinary daily life turned upside down after a close encounter with a UFO. He's a hard man to like in the movie, I got to say, because you just keep going, what the hell are you doing, mate? And his wife, Terry Garr, is a bitch. But what a movie Close Encounters is.
I remember as a kid watching this, and it was so scary. The radiation bit, like, oh yeah, it was
burnt face
freaked
sort of
me
thing.
out. Yeah, it freaked me out.
Yeah, great movie. The poor kid, the little kid, like, it's so good and it's worth revisiting. And
And when
there's
they play
actually
the music too,
Yeah.
it's just so.
and there's the special edition which shows what happens when he goes onto the ship.
Oh, is
at the
there?
end. Yeah, it's
Okay.
it's very. I know. Look, I'm talking about a movie everyone has probably watched, but if you've not
It's
seen Close
fantastic.
Encounters, you have to go and watch it.
I love it.
I haven't watched that for a long, long time. I just remember
Yeah.
thinking, such a great movie.
Yep.
Good story.
And I don't know if anyone's got it in the story of the Star Wars Close Encounters, George Lucas, Steven Spielberg deal.
We talked about that.
Yeah, so
The other
they
week,
gave
didn't we?
each other 0.25%
Yeah.
because Lucas thought that it was going to be way better than Star Wars. And Spielberg goes, yeah, righto. And Spielberg's laughed all the way to
Yeah.
the bank. So my second hit for the year, The Spy Who Loved Me,
Mm-hmm.
James Bond. I think it's far and away Roger Moore's best Bond. And it's the stock standard. James Bond investigates the hijacking of British and Russian submarines carrying nuclear warheads. And with the help of a KGB agent, Barbara Bach,
Yep,
who is
I do
Mrs.
remember.
Ringo Starr,
Yep.
he kills her husband or lover or at the start of the movie. It's got the best skiing sequence at the start of the movie where he flies off the cliff
with
and it's the Union Jack
yeah,
parachute.
I remember that. Yeah.
It's got the Lotus Esprit, which is the
Yeah, the
submarine.
white, yeah.
It's incredible. It's a really good movie. They go to Cairo. It's the first movie that's got Jaws in it.
Yeah.
It's a really good Bond. It's probably my top 5 favorite Bonds.
It is.
It's a
brilliant.
great movie.
Yep, I love it.
Really well worth revisiting. Okay, the sleepers for 77. My first one, Slapshot.
Oh, I was going to mention
That was mine.
Yeah,
That's
the
what I
knew
had.
it'd be yours.
Slapshot.
It's such a good movie.
Yeah,
It's
so
great
a
movie.
failing ice hockey team finds success with outrageously violent hockey goonery. Paul Newman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Hanson brothers.
Hansons,
And the handsome. It is so much fun, this movie. Rated R. I remember seeing this in the video shop on the shelves and seeing it's a great cover, like them in their hockey gear with Paul Newman in the middle and this big R rating. And I know it was one of those movies like, I can't wait till I can hire this movie. And the first time I saw it, I was like, yes! How good. It's so much fun.
It's great, the Hanson
Yeah.
brothers. Putting on the foil, coach.
Yeah, it's very,
It's an
very
awesome.
funny.
Yeah, that's a good sleeper. That was definitely my one.
Yep.
Okay, I got another one, and this is a personal favourite of mine, and we've talked about, and we did last week, about my love of Jaws. It seems to come up every week. So my second sleeper for 1977 is Orca.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I
Yeah.
remember Orca.
Okay, a
Yeah,
hunter
killer
squares
whale.
off against a killer whale seeking vengeance for death of its mate. This movie, starring Richard Harris, Charlotte Rampling, and also Chief from One Flew Over Cuckoo's Nest.
Yep.
I think his name's Richard Sampson. This is brutal. This movie, like they kill the killer whale at the start, who's pregnant, and the baby. I remember the baby falling out on the deck of the boat, the fetus, and the whale's eye in the water watching, and then he's got it's like revenge of the
Yeah.
killer whale, right?
Yeah.
It's a dead set Jaws ripoff. It's really good. It's a good movie. It's really worth
I
watching.
remember it.
Yeah.
I remember
70s classic, right? Really 70s classic. Worth watching. Orca. Okay, my dud. This was an easy one. It's a sequel to one of the greatest films ever made. The Exorcist 2, The Heretic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. This movie is so bad that it's essentially killed the franchise. I think that Exorcist 3 wasn't made until the mid-80s, which is not great either, except people keep calling it the scariest movie ever made, and there's one particular scene in Exorcist 3. But Exorcist 2 takes all the good work of the first one and just ruins it. You know, Reagan, who was once possessed by a demon, finds it still lurks within her. Meanwhile, the priest is investigating the death of the girl's exorcist, so the priest from the first one. investigating that death and him falling down the stairs. It's a lot of clinical stuff where they think she's, I don't know, it's shit. It didn't ruin the first one because the first one is a masterpiece, but God, it's bad. I've seen it a couple of times. The first time I watched it, I was like, Jesus, this is boring and it's terrible. It stars Richard Burton, the ex-Mr. Elizabeth Taylor, and Linda Blair reprises the role as Reagan. It's bad. Steer clear. That's my dud. Anyone else got a dud?
Herbie Goes to Monte Carlo.
Oh, come on. Number 53.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, no good for me. The other sleep we have in there is obviously Looking for Mr. Goodbar.
Well, we haven't spoken about him for a while.
Yeah. Great flick. Everyone should get onto that.
Definitely.
I haven't seen it.
And look, for a hit for me, I had Smokey and the Bandit.
Yeah, of course.
It was a cracker of a movie.
Burt Reynolds, Sally Field. Yeah, that's a great movie.
And don't forget 1977, also the Kentucky Fried Movie.
Oh, yeah, it was weird.
Well, Adam Worrell, Catholic Schoolgirls in Trouble. I remember I played golf and he would talk about it ad nauseum and he would quote it and quote it and quote it. And then I remember I watched it and I was like, guess you had to be there, mate. Because I didn't see it until like probably the mid-2000s, I reckon. And I was like, yeah, it's really trapped in the 70s. There are some funny bits in it.
Yeah, there are. And I haven't seen it for so long, and I remember it's all short skits, isn't it?
It's all skits, yeah. So Catholic Schoolgirls in Trouble is quite a famous one. A lot of naked Catholic schoolgirls that apparently people like to see.
Well, I think, I don't know, in 77 for me, there's a movie called A Bridge Too Far, and that's one of my favourite all-time war movies.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
It's actually one of my favourite all-time movies too.
Yeah. On your top 10 list?
It is actually. Yeah. I love A Bridge Too Far. But and Saturday Night Fever, that was shit. It was boring.
I watched Saturday. I actually watched it not long ago, and the thing that I don't get is that the girl he's lusting after is not great.
Either is he, actually.
No, he's not great.
Yeah.
Mate, it's got an iconic dance scene, and that's what it's known for, really.
Yeah.
That's it.
I
John Travolta.
I can do it. I can do the whole thing.
Can you?
No doubt.
No, you are a triple threat.
He's the only true triple threat on the podcast.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
One other one, The Gauntlet.
Oh, Dirty Harry.
Dirty Harry. Any Dirty Harry movie is a good movie.
Yeah, that's a good one. Okay, question time. Couple quickfire ones to start. Rebellion or Empire? I'm going to go with you first because I know what you're going to say.
What team I'm on?
Yep.
No, I am on Team Rebels.
Okay, wow.
Yeah. Though I do love the Empire.
Blows me away.
It's neck and neck.
That blows me away.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm Rebel scum.
Team Rebel, you're Rebel scum.
Rebel scum.
I'm Rebel scum.
Yeah.
I don't know where the Empire gets all its cash to build that big a Death Star, but geez, they did well to get all those people on there.
Mate, multiple times. Multiple times. Yeah, look, I'm Team Rebels.
Rebel scum.
Loved
More
Luke.
Rebel scum.
Loved Luke as a kid. He was my go-to. X-Wing or Falcon, Damo?
Oh, jeez. I'll probably say the Falcon.
Okay.
Yeah.
G-Man?
As a kid, I told you I had an X-Wing and I loved it. I thought the X-Wing was it, and that opened up. It was great. But then as time goes on, the Falcon is way more iconic to me. Definitely the Falcon for me.
Oh, I think when you think of Star Wars, you think of the Falcon.
Yeah.
I'm an X-Wing guy. I love the X-Wing.
Yeah. Okay.
I really do. I love the Falcon, don't get me wrong, but I love just the fact that it's a fighter plane. Like it's the fighter.
The X-Wing can't do the kettle run.
Not 12 parsecs.
Not 12 parsecs.
Well, I got at when I went to Galaxy's Edge.
Kessel Run.
Yeah. When I went to Galaxy's Edge, they took a photo of me in front of an X-Wing, but they also as part of the Disney thing, they actually put X-Wings in the sky flying over my head.
How cool is that?
Yeah, I was like, oh shit! It's
pretty cool.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Okay, now Damo, I know you are a Hans Zimmer tragic.
Yes.
We spoke about that with The Dark Knight. But is John Williams the greatest movie composer ever?
He probably. But the thing that's so good about it, and I'll probably mention, is the motifs, the light motifs. So, which is the recurring theme. So, whether it's the main theme / Luke theme, you've got a Leia's theme, you've got, the Rebels theme, you've got the Stormtroopers theme, and it develops to when it gets to Empire with Darth Vader's dun dun dun,
the Imperial
dun, 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 dun. It's incredible the light motifs that he has.
The music that plays when Luke is standing looking at the twin suns.
Yes,
that's
the kind of the forcey sort of theme.
Yeah, that's it, and that is
beautiful.
incredible.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And but look, and also the other thing, like he did, because he did Jaws too. Jaws and Star Wars are probably the two most iconic themes. So John Williams is the GOAT. He is the GOAT. But
plus he, Indiana Jones. Plus he's done all these.
Oh, for sure.
Like E.T.
Yeah.
He's done, like, when you start to really dig deep into John Williams, he is on a different level.
But it's not the music. So I'll listen to James Newton Howard or James Horner or obviously Zimmer. Like, I can do that in the background with. I don't really put John Williams on in the background much because I don't know why. I don't find it as good a background music, but I find it's bloody good movie music.
I went through a stage of listening in the car to the Star Wars soundtrack and then just like reciting the script.
Yeah, right.
As I'd be driving along because I'd know the sound cues, and I think that's when you know it's a powerful piece of music when you know the sound cues.
Yeah,
and that's what I love about it.
It
just seems to envelop you.
Yeah, I think Howard Shore, who's done Lord of the Rings, must be really severely influenced by John Williams. I'm actually going to see a Howard Shore concert in May with my son again. They're going to play all the Lord of the Rings and the Hobbit because the leitmotifs in that too, they have the Orc theme, the Saruman themes, the Hobbits themes, the Ring theme, the Elves theme. Like it's amazingly brilliant how he's done it, but he's just riddled with John Williams' influence. So, but it is brilliant.
Yeah, no, I think he's the king. Okay, so Luke becomes a fully fledged believer of the Force exceptionally fast. Questioning Han in the Falcon about, don't you believe in the Force, right? I think that's like...
Yeah,
I think that's a step too far. Like, he's not seen... All he's seen is the Jedi mind trick with the troopers. And sure, he's seen the chopping off old Walrus Man's arm and Pig Nose's face, right? I don't get that bit. That bit annoys me. So what are your thoughts? Do you think he sort of...
I think he can justify it because to me it made perfect sense while I was in there. But also too, you think, well, back to his bloodlines, that there obviously must be something inside him telling him it's the truth as well.
For sure, yeah. Well, he's got... as we find out later on is that until they go and ruin it with midichlorians, but
yes,
you're supposed to be
it's
supposed to be within you, like it's supposed to be something within you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does jump into it pretty quick. Look, having watched it so many times, I never thought about that. And when I rewatched it recently, I was like, yeah, he does turn quite quickly into that. But
he doesn't know about it until Obi-Wan tells him about the Force in his hut when they go and he thank the fuck shuts down C-3PO for 5 minutes, and they have a chat. And I was seeing when he starts flailing that the blue the Anakin lightsaber away around, and I'm thinking, oh mate, just flick it over and slice 3PO, just across the jugular.
It is funny too. When he first grabbed the lightsaber, he basically looks, but when
he's looking straight into it.
Looks straight at it. It's like, if you got a gun, you wouldn't just point it at your head, having a look at it.
Yeah.
Did you ever, like when I was a kid, there was that rumor that went around. I don't know if you guys ever heard that how did Luke Skywalker's mum die? Because it wasn't covered in the movie, and then that she got his lightsaber out and then she pressed it on and it was the wrong way and it went through her. And that was like this urban myth that I heard all the time. That's how Luke's mum died. Like,
okay.
Right. Okay, so George tampered with the original movies before the release of Phantom Menace in 99 and released 4, 5, and 6 in 97 as special editions where he had fixed some of the things that he didn't like about them and tried to make them look a bit more modern. Are you original, or where do you sit? Original or special editions? Yeah.
Original.
Yep.
I rewatched the special editions, and just some of the things they put in there look out of place.
Yeah.
So when Han walks over Jabba, like that whole Jabba the Hutt at the front of the Falcon.
That is so bad.
It's so bad. And when he walks over his tail. Like you can just see it. It looks terrible.
Yeah,
and the whole fact that he's talking, with Greeno, Greeno's after says there's a massive bounty on your head. So he has to shoot him dead. And then he walks in there and then Jabba's like, oh, yeah, no, it's fine. No, just bring me more money and it'll be right. Like, it just doesn't gel. And all the little bits where they're coming into...
This is where it changes the movie, right? Is that with Greedo, Han shot first.
Yeah, that's right.
Right? In the original version, Han shoots first. So Greedo's going to take him to Jabba. And Han just goes, well, no, I don't think so, and shoots him.
Mm.
In the remake, in the special edition, to make Han not mean... They make Greedo shoot first, so it looks like he was going to kill him. But that's not the way it's supposed to be, right?
No, he just
which makes the next scene which would, if Han shot first, which would have made the next scene of
Irrelevant.
the Jabba thing make a bit more sense, because the fact that Jabba's gone, it's okay, you can get the million when you get it, but it doesn't need to be there.
No, it doesn't
because
gel.
Jabba in the original, he was a man. He was a man dressed like in loincloths and woolen, a big yak sort of rug jacket, and they then superimposed Jabba the Slug over the top of him. Right, they'd already filmed the scene, and it just doesn't need to happen.
No, and just some of the ones when they're coming into Mos Eisley, and the
background.
creature
Yeah.
jumps up
Yeah.
and they fall off, like all those little cutesy things they just didn't need.
Terrible.
And it ruins it for me. Like the original's way better.
I agree, but I think he could have done some things to make it look. You know, I think that there's some things he does which is not bad, but I think when he adds where he falls down, this is where he fell down in the sequel trilogy as well, or in the prequel trilogy, is that he dumbs stuff down for kids, right? So he puts stuff in there specifically for kids. So when the speeder goes past and the thing rears up and the Jawa falls off, and that's funny for the kids. Like, we don't give a shit about that. I watched the originals before reviewing this. I went back, I've got a set of the originals, and there are some scenes where I'm going, okay, I can see what he's done there, and it does sort of make it, because it's a static, it's almost like it looks like a set in some, but it was 1977, right? So I think he just went a bit too far.
Way too far.
Yeah.
Like the carcass in the desert, when C-3PO and R2-D2 first land, like the skeleton, like that's cool.
Yeah.
I like that, but some of the other bits he put, and you can just see that it's been altered. It just doesn't look real. It doesn't look right.
It reminds me of someone that, you know, like you have people that, you know, go over the top with cosmetic surgery. They get facelift, brow lift, collagen lip injections, whatever, and they start looking stupid.
Yeah.
So, and I think sometimes you get out of control. And
he tried to cater.
You can,
he does,
but it just didn't need all that cosmetic work.
No, it didn't need it.
It didn't actually. It's like, you know what? You're beautiful as it is. Don't add any more shit to you. You know,
That's
just
right.
to me, that was probably started the downfall of me not watching it that much anymore, because the only other versions were the add-on bits. It's like, where the hell can I find an original one? It was only on yours.
Yeah,
It's like,
despecialised,
thank God. Yeah.
Mate, it should be like us, just aging gracefully.
So there is,
Very gracefully.
So what happens when they release the DVD trilogy? They, on the Star Wars Episode 4 disc, there's another disc with the original version on it, right? That's the last time. That would have been in the early 2000s. That's the last time that you could actually get a copy of the original.
Yeah.
That there's been petitions, especially now that's been sold to Disney, for Disney to release it on their streaming service. I don't understand why they wouldn't. It would do no damage to the brand. It would do no damage to the brand.
It's putting me off watching it again because of that sole fact. I don't want to watch it with all that shit in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Agreed. Okay. All right. So we're all originals. Okay. Favorite character? Yeah.
Wow. I guess as a kid it was definitely Luke Skywalker, but as you grow older, like Darth Vader, it's just such an ominous, great character and so iconic in the series.
It's hard for it not to be Vader. As a kid, I'm exactly the same. I was Luke. I think you're either Luke or Han.
Yeah. Well, as a kid, you were.
It said a lot about
Luke
you as a
Han.
kid. Who I think the naughtier kids were Han.
Yeah.
And the wannabe goody two shoes were Luke. You definitely are Luke, yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Right? You can't be Ducks of a primary school and not be Luke.
True.
Yeah. Damo?
Yeah, I probably Luke or Han, but in the end too, I definitely loved Darth. Just amazingly good baddie.
Yeah, I have talking now as an adult. The figures that I get the most are Imperial figures.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of stormtroopers, biker scouts. I'm big on biker scouts.
Yep.
Can't wait for the new Black Series biker scout helmet to come out this year, which I'm going to buy. Big on the Imperials. I think they've got a lot more character to them.
Oh, they're great. The stormtrooper outfit. Stormtroopers are awesome.
Yeah,
Were those red ones with the long,
they
the
look
Imperial
stuck.
ones?
Yeah.
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 Imperial guards.
Yeah.
They looked awesome.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's move into the categories. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Start with you, Damo. What do you got for good?
Well, we've already discussed the score, so that's definitely in my good. We just talked about Darth Vader. I'd say the greatest villain of all time.
It's hard to disagree.
Yeah, I mean, like I was trying to think of other really full-on villains, and you know who used to scare the shit out of me was the children catcher in Chitty Chitty Bang Bang. My fair dinkum, he was a scary bastard. And then I was thinking about other villains, and I thought about what's his name? Major von Harpen from Where Eagles Dare, the Gestapo guy. He was a creepy bastard. And Shooter McGavin has to be one of the
Big villain.
Big villains. But yeah, Darth Vader, definitely one of the greatest villains of all time. And the other thing is, that's pretty much it for my good. Look, yeah, they're my main things for good.
Okay, G-Man, what do you got?
Mine is similar. The opening scene, the best opening sequence of any movie
you're right.
of all time. I remember, Whitey, when you got your new TV and sound system, and remember we used to put it on super loud, and just that music, like coming up so loud, and then obviously the text scrolling up the screen. It's just
the crawl.
Even as soon as it came on when I watched it yesterday, it just gives you good
that fanfare,
here we
that
go,
opening
here we go,
fanfare, the crawl.
And then then it quiets down and it pans down to the moon and the planets, and then
you're right,
boom, over the top comes the Imperial Destroyer, and I was like, you're just hooked, like right there. I'm hooked again straight away.
Actually, I forgot that to me is probably the best opening. The length of that Imperial cruiser just keeps going on and on and on. And I remember in the movies going, everyone's jaws were on the ground. We were just like unbelievably blown away.
It's funny. 2 years later, Alien do something similar with the Nostromo.
Yeah.
And then in 86, they do the same thing with the Sulaco. It's like where you see the ship and you keep going. And of course, there's Spaceballs.
Spaceballs goes on and on and on and on and on.
Minutes.
Yeah. But look, that to me, up loud, hearing that, the size, and you said, like, just goes on and it goes over the top. You're like, right, it's on.
Well, I reckon it took me till I was about 13 to realise that the 20th Century Fox fanfare wasn't for Star
part
Wars.
of it.
Yeah.
Right.
I was like, oh, that's for other movies too.
Yeah.
As soon as I hear that, it just like it doesn't. Don't you just get switched on? You're like, yes, it's happening. Like that. That's a really good part of the movie. The other is the first sight of Darth Vader.
Oh,
so I know Vader is a character, but just when he enters the ship and he just and he's so big and tall and dark, like, and then when he holds the guy up, feet off the ground, they show his feet off the ground,
voice, everything.
and you just and then he just crushes his neck.
Mate,
You're just like, oh my gosh,
the first 10 minutes of this movie is perfect.
Yeah,
perfect. You learn everything.
Although I must say, they were trying to get the plans right, so they're trying to board the ship, but then they were shooting a lot at it. Like, they could have blown that little ship out of the sky.
I think they were just trying to disarm it, wing it, because they know they've got shields.
Yeah.
That's right.
Seemed a little bit of a risky ploy to me.
Because they're shooting the shields to break the shields.
They've got this massive Imperial Destroyer, and they're just shooting at it. They're like,
it's not a fair fight.
But then again, even if they blew it up, well, then the plans would have been
gone.
Plans are gone,
But they did want to find those plans.
You are part of the Rebel Alliance and the traitor. Take it away.
Yep.
So good.
The other one, just quickly for my good, because it had such an impact when I was a kid, was the Seven Arms scene that you talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Like when Obi-Wan just like
in the cantina
finally gets the lightsaber out and just takes his arm off so quickly, and then you see the blood. Like I remember thinking, oh my god, that was so brutal as a kid.
Yep. Have you seen the robot chicken?
No.
Oh my god, I'll post it. I'll put it on the in the show notes or on social media. There's an amazing scene about I think his name's like John, the Walrus Man's name's John, and they show him in the morning. He's talking with his wife. He goes,
I don't like you either.
I'm getting a promotion today. Everything's going so well, and blah 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 blah. And then, then he goes there and gets his arm chopped off. And it's just fucking hilarious.
We don't get his
There's no backstory. There's no backstory.
The Walrus
He's
Man.
just the Walrus Man and Pig Nose. Whose name is actually Dr. Everzan.
Yeah.
But he's just pig nose to everyone. And oh god, it was just so funny. So there's a heap of. Like Family Guy do some brilliant stuff with Star Wars, and
the Family Guy is awesome.
Robot Chicken do some incredible Star Wars stuff.
As soon as I saw that, the scene we talked about with Luke standing over looking at the setting sun, I just think of the Family Guy.
Yeah.
What's his name?
The son. What's the son's name?
Stewie?
No, the older one.
Chris. Yeah. It just reminds me of that straight away. That's so good. If you haven't watched that, people, go and watch the Family Guy send-ups. They're awesome.
Yeah, they are very, very good. Okay, I've got... It's easy to say everything, but I'm just going to say everything. From minute 1 to minute 106 or, 112 or however long the movie is. It's just everything. I love the whole thing. I find in all the three movies, I find that the first half of all the three movies are the best parts of those movies. I find that all the Tatooine stuff is really great, and then when they go to the Death Star is really great. I find that they round this movie up really quickly. I think the attack is really quick. It's like 25 minutes is the attack.
Yeah.
So all that movie gets to this 25-minute when they get back to Yavin, and then it's on. So, but I find that I love the start of this movie. It's just the blockade scene is incredible when Darth Vader comes through, which is only bettered by what we find happens before when we see Rogue One.
Yeah.
Right? When we actually see what that could have been, and with Vader with the
Kicking butt.
kicking ass. It's
Cleaning
one of the,
house.
that Rogue One scene is one of my favourite scenes in all of Star
Yeah.
Wars. It's incredible.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Lucas's complete conviction in his own talent and vision. Like if he had obviously 100% belief in this, you know that this was sold to the studio by the drawings from Ralph McQuarrie, who did concept drawings for this. The only reason that Alan Ladd Jr. signed off on this was because of those drawings.
The strength of the drawings.
The strength of the drawings. It came off the back of Lucas's script, which came it's incredible when you dig deep and you find out how stuff actually gets done. And the fact that this movie even got made is a miracle. It really is. It was so far out of the boundaries of what was done in Hollywood at the time. Yeah. So they've got Alan Ladd Jr. to thank for that. We talked about John Williams. He's the best.
Yeah. Han
Solo is the best, right? He is so arrogant. And I love the scene when they're in the Falcon and they're like, they're talking and you can tell that Luke's got a bit of a crush on.
And he
goes, so what do you think, a princess and a guy like me? Yeah. He's like, no.
Yeah.
And he just got a little smirk on his face. He's like, I'm just playing the game with you, mate, playing the game.
But he did it so well because he picked up on it. Harrison Ford didn't say anything. You knew what he was thinking just by the way he was acting. Yeah. It was like, hang on, I'm going to play a little trick on this kid. Yeah. And you could see the way that he did it. It's like, well done.
Yeah, it was great. It was great.
Harrison Ford's awesome.
Yeah.
He's just awesome.
As good as Han Solo and Harrison Ford is, he's also in Mowgli. So we'll get to there in a minute. Last good for me. Didn't play us for fools. No one knew what was going on. Why was this episode 4? What's going on here? There are so many unanswered questions that essentially do not start to be answered for 20 years. For 20 years. And you know what? If he had left it at 4, 5, 6, it probably goes down as the greatest trilogy of all time. What Morg said last week, and I hate to say that something he said added value to the podcast, but he does. But what he said about what's gone on since this, has it diluted it?
Yeah.
For me, no. I can silo this trilogy and go, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But, geez, they've tried to fuck it.
Yeah.
They really have.
I can definitely silo it because there's so much time between it, but you have to because
but they've broken the bond with the audience.
Yeah,
I think with their latest shit.
I think they've tried to build. I think Mandalorian was the first patch, but I've got to say, even the third season Mandalorian,
I've heard really bad reviews.
Well, it's not great.
Yeah,
like it's not real bad, but it's not as good as season 1 and season 2.
I have no interest in watching it.
Season 1 and season. Have you watched season 1 and season 2 yet?
Yeah.
Okay,
but I have no interest in 3.
Season 3 is a bit rough.
Yeah.
Looking forward to Ahsoka, which comes out next month, which will be really good. Actually, this month comes out in May. Okay, bad. We'll start with you, G-Man.
Oh, I just wrote one note for bad. I wrote it down last night. I want to punch C-3PO in the head. That was all I had, really.
I think
it's just annoying at the start.
It's such an adult viewpoint, right?
You're
just like, shut up, mate.
He just constantly keeps whining at the start. But obviously that's part of the
He's got to keep talking too because R2-D2 can't talk.
Well, he's the translator.
Yeah, that's right. So he has to actually talk more. He has to talk for 2.
He's translator and he's also Basil exposition a bit. Like
definitely.
He's pushing the narrative along a bit.
Yep.
Saying about, well, what are the chances of this and the chances of that? And we've got to do this and we've got to do that.
Yeah.
And, well, R2 says this and I say that.
Well, and he only got the job there because he could speak botchy.
Well, this is it.
If he couldn't do that, well...
Very similar to your binary load lifters.
So, I don't know if you've got this coming up later, but I'll tell you now, R2-D2 in early versions of the script could speak English.
Yes.
What?
And they actually removed it. Like he had a really, like a bad vocabulary, like it was pretty foul language.
Like a Dalek or something.
Yeah. He'd be like, hey, Goldenrod, get the fuck out of the way.
Yeah. Like that. So all of the English was removed, but all of C-3PO's reactions were left in.
Right. So Kenny Baker, who's the actor that's R2-D2, was actually doing similar to what happened with. So what we don't know is that with Chewbacca, R2, Darth Vader, the actors are doing the lines from inside their suits. So Chewbacca speaks English. So Peter Mayhew does speaks it when it goes.
Wow. Yeah.
He's actually going, Han, I think that Luke's a whiny bitch and you should try and root Leia. And he's going, yeah, Chewie, I completely agree with you. And it's like, right? So, and he's speaking English, and there's some outtakes of stuff where Chewbacca's speaking English,
wow.
R2-D2's speaking English,
Wow.
and Vader's with the English accent. But yeah, so it's quite funny.
Brilliant.
Is that your bad?
Yeah, that's my bad.
Okay, Damo?
Obviously, I didn't realise until I did go back to the movies to watch the cosmetic surgery versions when Luke did say the Toshi Station, and the whininess in the voice was like I'd never picked up on it.
Mate, the Toshi Station is my favourite quote of all time.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I never noticed how that real whiny tone. So yeah, that's that. But the whole thing really too. The whole movie was sidetracked because the movie was supposed to be about Luke going to Toshi Station. To me, it seems like the whole thing was a big sidetracked.
Yeah.
It was like...
Well, there's an outtake of the Toshi Station.
Oh,
where he meets up with his mates, where he's got... Because you can buy a figure where he's got this bucket hat on.
Yeah.
And they actually go to the Toshi Station where he meets Biggs.
Okay.
He meets Biggs and another couple nuffy characters. One's a girl, one's a bloke. And they're actually looking up at the sky, and the blockade runner's being attacked by the Star Destroyer.
Oh,
so they're watching that.
Oh, right.
And you can see like flashes in the sky. Looks terrible.
Yep.
Okay, and it 100% needed to be cut out. But yeah, we did get to see the Toshi Station. It's a bit like the Jet Club.
Yeah. Okay.
It was a bit like the Jet Club.
Yeah, okay. $1 drinks. And the other thing was at the end, Mark Hamill's and Harrison Ford's hair in the final ceremony looked like they've just come off a Dusty Fleming Sunsilk ad.
Yeah.
And it was so silky and soft.
Yes.
Body and bounce.
Yeah.
It was a luxurious mop of hair, and it was awful.
I know. I was looking at that last night thinking, what about those buffs?
Yeah. They're just straight out of the hairdressing chair.
Yeah. Dusty Fleming. He's done his work.
All right. You've already mentioned my bad is Luke could be considered a little whiny.
Yeah.
And I think that he's again, it's an older person's thing where you go, come on, mate, sack up. Right.
So I just had quickly one more good. Just the one was the music in the Mos Eisley Cantina.
Oh, the Cantina band.
So good. Just them.
Old scrotum heads. The old scrotum heads. Yeah. Okay, let's go to ugly. Damo, we'll go with you first.
The everybody laugh ending. Right?
Oh,
so here we go.
yeah.
Right. So yeah, but I do find the everybody laugh like it's just one of those sort of tropey things that I think we should finish today with an everybody laugh ending. So because we'll do the
we will.
Yeah, okay. You know, like sometimes when they even start off scenes, you know, there's people talking and someone will just say a random line, which is supposed to be like a punchline, like, oh. Yeah, and then I got the Diet Pepsi, and everyone laughed. Yeah. So I just like those everybody laugh kind of lines or everybody laugh endings.
Yeah, it was not good.
It's funny.
It was not good. G-Man?
I didn't really have anything for ugly. I guess the only one was the now famous scene where the stormtrooper hits his head when they're running in to get the two droids, right? And then about the only good thing in the remastered version is they put the donk.
They put a noise in, yeah.
They put a noise in for that. Because you remember it, yeah, like, and that's quite funny because they actually recognise it now. Because for years, remember you heard like, oh, there's a bad scene in there, and you see the guy hit his head, and they just embraced it. So, as a point, originally it was ugly, but now it's kind of well known.
Yeah.
Okay, my ugly. Now picture this: we're on Yavin. We're stealing for the battle.
Yeah. And
Luke is moping. And Leia comes over.
Kicking the ground.
And goes, what's wrong? And he goes, oh, it's Han. He just doesn't get it. And then, you can tell he's upset. His mate that he's known for 4.5 hours. Lifelong friends now. He's losing a pet. It's like, who gets the pet in the divorce? Well, he gets Chewie.
You're right.
Okay, I just get R2. And then Han comes over to say goodbye. And he goes, you can't leave us. And he goes, no, I've got to go. I've got some debts to pay, whatever. And then he goes, Luke, may the Force be with you.
Yes.
And he is trying not to laugh as he's saying it.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
He is trying not to laugh. It is the worst line in the movie. And it's the same.
Seemed pretty sincere. I'll have to have a bit of a look at it.
You need to watch it, mate.
He's got a little
little
grin,
little grin like everyone on the other side of the camera is pissing themselves at him because they know he's hating saying this line. Now, Carrie Fisher says, I was watching a doco this morning, I've read it before, that she said to George Lucas, you can write this shit, but you can't say it, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of the dialogue is quite clunky in this movie.
Yeah.
And they get away with it, right? Gets away with it because you're distracted by other things. That is the one line where I am not distracted, and it cringes me every time.
Yes.
Because it's killing him saying it.
Okay.
I want to add to that a little bit, because when Obi-Wan and Luke meet Han and Chewie and then get on the ship, and then they go onto the Death Star, and then they get off and then they go to the planet. What's the time frame there?
It doesn't seem like it's very long, man.
One afternoon.
A day?
Yeah.
Maybe?
It's like they fly in and then it's like, get in your
Light
jump space.
space.
One guy's going to call Princess Leia, who shouldn't. We're going to do 2 briefings in 8 minutes and then you're gone.
So this is what gets to me, is that he's moping about Han. He's known him for 24
That's
hours.
What I'm saying. He's made it 4.5 hours.
They had a
It's
fairly
like-
traumatic experience together, but yeah.
But the other part is that at the end, when they all get back, the three of them are all like hugging
Best
each other
mates.
and walking around like they're best mates.
Yeah.
Now, Leia and Han didn't like it. Well, there's the simmering under tension, but
all
but
made
they
good.
didn't-
He all made good with that last.
Yeah, with coming back, I guess.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Now
to me
blow
was-
this thing up and let's go home.
All right.
Okay. All right. Morgs's quickfire, and we'll slam through these pretty quickly in honour of Daniel, who's not joining us today. Now, that's not a knife. The scene or scenes that have passed over into pop culture. Damo? Everything.
You tell me a scene that isn't.
Yeah.
Like, may the force be with you.
Oh.
The Jedi is a religion. The Kessel Run in 12 parsecs. Lightsabers, their sounds. Droids, Darth Vader, his breathing.
Yeah.
The Jedi mind tricks.
Yeah.
The score is popular culture.
Yep.
Yeah.
I don't know anything in this that isn't.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's not. Now that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Well,
Like it's all just. It's all just so well known.
There is that meme too. Now that's the name I haven't heard since I chopped off your dad's legs and threw him into a volcano.
Yeah. But yeah, I said the same thing. Kids fighting with lightsabers for 40 years now. And I put merchandising. I thought that it just defined merchandising.
Every aspect of this movie.
Yeah, the question is what's not.
Yeah, well,
It
this
is.
is it. I think.
Yeah,
And
everything.
I think in some movies there's some stuff that hasn't. We talk about a scene in the movie, but I think you can't say that this whole movie hasn't passed over into pop culture. Okay, cool. Number 2, Philip Stuckey Award for the biggest dick character in the movie. Yeah.
What do you say? Do you say Darth Vader? I mean, Darth Vader's the evil part of this, but he's
I don't
such
think
a
he's
good
a dick.
character.
I
So,
personally would
I
say
don't
C-3PO myself.
Yeah,
He
you'd say
annoys me the
C-3PO.
most.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I only go that big snuffle nosed, big long nose.
Oh yeah,
Dick No Spy.
that thing.
Dick No Spy.
That thing.
Yeah. His name is Gurinden. Gurinden.
He's got a name.
Yeah, he does. I've got his figure. I had to get Dick No Spy.
Yeah. Dick No Spy.
It's an amazing nose.
Dr. Everzan and
Yeah, he's
Bumface.
actually-
They're not good.
Which one was he again, Dr. Everson?
Pig Nose Cantina.
Yeah, those guys are dicks too. Yes.
I don't like you either.
Yeah, actually, the cantina is probably full of them.
Full of dicks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, more precisely.
Well, there's no
A
greater
more
hive
wretched-
of scum or villainy. Okay, I've got the... So, what are we going with? Who are we going with? Everzan.
Go with him.
Don't know.
Okay.
Either him or 3PO.
Okay, we'll go with Everzan because 3PO's a goodie, right? He's annoying, but he's not a dick. Everzan is a dick. Throws his mate in the way to get his arm chopped off. Jennifer Jason Leigh Backdraft or the Caddyshack Award for the cast member or cast that is not in the same movie. I'm going to say no one.
There's not many cast members.
I'm going to say no one. I think everyone's sort of on their game here. No one looks out of place.
Jabba the Hutt was the only one out of place. For
yeah,
me,
the
like we
cosmetic
talked about
surgery
earlier.
ones, okay, yeah,
that
you're
was
right.
it.
Yeah,
But apart from
100%,
that, everyone else is
100%.
fine.
Yep. Okay. The Ripley running bad athletic prowess in behalf of Ellen Ripley from Aliens, the terrible runner that she is. Who you got, Gow?
It's Han.
Oh, it's Harrison
Harrison
Ford.
Ford, he can't run.
He can't run.
Have you watched? He's not a good
Chasing
runner.
does
Chasing the
right.
troopers. Chasing the troopers down the tunnel in the Death
He
Star.
runs a bit like Slab Rob Blythe. Like this real,
He's got a weird gait.
In every movie, I've noticed
he's
he
a bad
can't
runner.
run. He's up there with Sigourney.
He's a bad runner. He's
The male
awful in The
Sigourney.
Fugitive.
Does the
He's
100
a-
in what, you reckon? 18, 19 seconds?
Yeah,
It's not
maybe. Anyone, Damo?
Well, no, the only one I was thinking before was the stormtrooper who banged his head on the bloody roof because he can't see.
Alec Guinness ain't much of a swordsman. Well, he probably is a pretty...
Don't know how you know that.
Well, he probably wasn't back in the day, but I reckon that with a lightsaber in his hand, he's not very good. It was so funny. I was watching, just a side note to that, I was watching this documentary and the stunt coordinator who was in charge of choreographing the lightsaber fight goes, I wanted to bring in like a samurai feel. I wanted to have this because, I wanted to have this samurai sword fighting feel. He goes, but you know what I did? Instead of them holding the sword with one hand, I got them to hold the sword with two hands.
That game changer.
And every move they did
two-handed
was with two hands. And I'm like, Vader fights with one hand, pal. Or maybe that's Empire, but in Star Wars, maybe it's two-handed. And I'm like, wow. Imagine that. I've got an idea.
Yeah.
Damo, I've got an idea.
Yeah, think tank.
Hold the lightsaber with two hands.
Yeah, it reminds me of something. I can't think of what it is, but
mind blown.
Yeah, some idea like that. Wow, that's great. Well, yeah. I suppose Conan the Barbarian he had the big two-handed.
It was a very heavy sword.
Big sword, yeah.
Very heavy sword. Very heavy sword. Okay. Robot sentries for the Alien Special Edition. Is there a scene that we would have liked to have been in this movie that's not in it? Damo.
Well, there is a deleted scene that I saw that I think should have been in the movie. So,
is it the three-way in the Falcon cockpit?
Oh, God. Now, that's not... that may be.
With Han, Chewie, and Luke.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So
it's called Starballs.
Yeah.
Power down, 3PO.
Yeah, that's actually not bad. Write that down. No, Darth Vader, he said to Obi-Wan, I know what you got me for Christmas. And Obi-Wan's like, what? How? 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 And Darth Vader said, I felt your presence. It's just terrible. See, I'm trying to get my job at the Christmas bonbons. So, I've got to keep this sort of stuff rolling.
That one's losing. Okay, you, G-Man, anything?
No.
Okay, I said maybe a little bit more Vader backstory. But again, I don't think you need to, but it might have been nice to know what he was. They don't mention the word Sith in this movie. I don't think. Oh, they actually.
Do
they did in a deleted scene. In the scene where the Galactic guys are in the meeting and he force chokes the guy.
Yep.
And before that, they talk about to Tarkin. One of the guys says, "This Sith Lord of yours," but that gets cut out, and then he rocks in. Vader rocks in. So yeah, we wouldn't have had any idea what a Sith Lord was at the time.
But
anyway.
I guess that they had an idea that the story was going to go on when they did this, so they were trying to tease that out later on. So,
all right, okay. Last one, the Brad Pitt Award. Person you'd most like to lie down with. It's a very small sample size here, but I'm tipping we're all going to say Princess Leia. Yeah, because you Princess Leia.
Boom.
Right.
Yeah, hey, I'm going to use that for my Christmas bonbon resume. No, she is like Smurfette. She is the only...
She's the only girl in the galaxy.
She is the only one in... I don't think there is another... Is there another female in this movie apart from Aunt Beru?
I think there's a couple on Yavin.
I was looking.
They're all
I
massive,
couldn't see them.
They're all massive background actors.
There's nothing in the Empire. There's nothing in the Death Star.
She is Smurfette. That's what I thought.
Yeah.
She's the only one. What about on Yavin 2? There's that guy outside with his speed camera gun. What is he doing?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure they've got pretty good radars.
He's like a sentry, but what are you going to do? Because by the time they get there, mate, it's over.
I don't know. He's got
probably checking their clearance code.
I thought
but
he was the
wouldn't have
police. He was just the radar guy, booking people for speed.
Dickhead highway patrols on Yavin. Okay, well done. Let's move into a listen to this. And we could talk about this section for days, but we won't. We'll start with you, Damo. What do you got?
Well, before I start, I've just got to do an ad for one of our sponsors.
Go for it.
Just as a live read. So, look. Hi, watchers. I don't always buy power converters, but when I do, I go to Tosha Station.
Is that the read?
Yeah, that's the
okay, excellent. Yeah. Well done. Thank you, Toshi Station, for your sponsorship of this episode.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
The Wookiee, I was watching the making of Star Wars, and George Lucas got the idea of the Wookiee from his dog, this large Malamute dog called Indiana.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what that.
And that's why in Raiders or not in The Last Crusade, when he's actually named after the dog in that movie too. So he says, you're named after the dog because his name's Henry Jones Jr. And they call him Indy because their dog's name in as a child in Indiana Jones was Indiana, but it was George Lucas's dog. So.
Okay, yeah. And the other thing that I found was like, because obviously the technology wasn't there, but the tractor beam scene was a glass painting. So the guy actually painted it onto glass.
Yeah.
And then they filmed just that little bit in the middle where Alec Guinness is standing on that platform, moving that lever. And it looks like this illusion that he's on this, 300-foot high tower. But it's actually a hand-painted on glass.
There's a lot of matte painting in this movie.
Wow, that looks phenomenal. The illusion is brilliant. And it's like, this is where the technology was. We're still painting things.
Absolutely. G-Man?
One I found here, according to an interview with George Lucas, originally Luke was going to be a girl. Han Solo was going to be an alien. The Wookiees were going to be called Jawas. And R2-D2 and 3PO were going to be called A2 and C3.
Bizarro world.
Yeah.
It's like the Seinfeld episode.
Yeah. That was some of the early character
wow.
formation,
There you go.
Another quick one. Darth Vader only had 12 minutes of screen time in the whole movie.
It's like Hannibal Lecter. It's the same amount as, I think Hannibal had 11 minutes.
Yeah.
What an impact.
Pretty crazy, isn't it? Like,
and who do you go away remembering the most?
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. That's when you know you've got an iconic character, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Used sparingly but powerfully.
I mean, he's obviously in those key scenes. He's the one that, the opening, he does the force, the chokehold. He does the, he's in the ship with the trench run.
Yeah.
And the lightsaber duel. So, yeah, but they're the big scenes.
They are, yeah. Absolutely.
Why in the start, like they send all the stormtroopers through with firing at the guns on Leia's ship? Why didn't you just walk out and use the force and stop it?
And that's what they sort of do in Rogue One.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, you're right.
He just cleans out the
he
tunnel.
He sends the stormtroopers in. You guys go and get killed.
Yeah.
What about the poor bloke that says, "Oh, there's Leia set for stun," and then she kills him?
Yeah,
I know.
He should have went set for kill the body.
Okay, any more, G-Man?
No, James Earl Jones and David Prowse, and we talked about him coming in at the last minute to be the voiceover. They never met.
Yeah.
They never met on set. I mean, not that they had to, but it's sort of one of those crazy facts, right?
David Prowse would have hated his...
What, like
probably
in later life they met? They never met? Or?
I don't think they ever met.
They never met on the set of this movie. Yeah.
On the set of the movies.
Yeah.
All right, I've got... so George Lucas was so sure this movie was going to be a flop that he and Steven Spielberg went to Hawaii as a holiday when it was released, and actually finally found out by phone calls that there were
kicking butt.
Things around the block. When they were there, they came up for the idea of Raiders of the Lost Ark. So pretty handy holiday.
Because Spielberg's wife at the time, she was involved in that too, wasn't she? I think we covered that the other week. She was involved. I can't remember.
No. George Lucas's wife. George Lucas's wife, Marsha Lucas, was edited Star Wars.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. So opened in May '77, and by November had dethroned Jaws as the all-time domestic box office champion, which was then beaten by the movie I hated its guts, E.T., because it beat Star Wars. But then it went back to the top when it was re-released in '97. Until Titanic was released and then got swamped.
Right.
Yeah. So it held the top spot twice as all-time box office.
So, but Avatar is still... Is Avatar number one all time, or is it Gone with the Wind, or what is...
No, well, I think in...
Gone with the Wind still is adjusted for inflation. Or maybe Avatar's taken it now.
I think Avatar's taken it, yeah. I think Avatar's the biggest. Let's just say James Cameron's got quite a few of the highest grossing movies of all time.
Well, I suppose there's a hell of a lot more cinemas now and a hell of a lot more people.
It's different. It's different, yeah. So the intercom conversation,
which
is probably one of the best parts of the movie.
Yeah.
Harrison Ford didn't learn his line, so he fumbled across it, so it felt that way, which was really cool. George Lucas isn't much of a director. He really had two commands. One was faster or more intense, and he actually lost his voice for a week, and so and the cast and crew didn't know because he hardly spoke on the set. So they decided they'd do two signs for him. One said faster and one said more intense.
They just used the sign.
They just hold them up. So the famous story, I'm sure everybody's heard this, about the prior to release that George Lucas invited some of his friends around. Now, when you talk about some of his friends, we've got Spielberg, Coppola,
Brian
De Palma, and Martin Scorsese
Right.
came to his screening room to screen for them a early cut of the movie. Brian De Palma declared it's the worst movie he's ever seen. Only over because it didn't have all the effect shots in. It didn't have a lot of the stuff in, right? So there'd be a dogfight scene, and there would be old World War II footage of a dogfight.
Right. Okay.
And so everyone in the room was like, "What are you doing, George?" Steven Spielberg goes, "This is going to be the biggest movie of all time."
Wow.
And everyone was like, "Poor Steven." And Steven got 2.5%, and the other fuckers in the room got 0.
Wow.
So it's not poor Steven.
Yeah.
Yeah. Funny one.
Well, let's say George Lucas took that lower salary and then took some of the
all the merchandising.
Yeah, all the merchandising, and everyone was like, "Mate, that's ridiculously stupid.
Suicide.
Like, you don't make any money off that."
Yeah. Well, yeah. Please.
It's because all those dogfight scenes, so they're all scale models with little miniature explosions.
Yeah.
It took like 2 years to film all that stuff on itself.
Yeah. Well,
let's get this little ship. Let's blow it up.
We haven't even talked about them actually developing the company ILM, Industrial Light and Magic, for this movie.
Yeah.
Like there was nowhere they could do this.
No.
It's a bit similar to
Avatar.
Peter Jackson and Avatar, where they built their
The
studio for
workshop.
this specific thing, and like this had never been done before. So ILM are the pioneers, and still are really today. I know there's Cameron's got his one and Jackson's got his one, but ILM are sort of like the benchmark.
Yeah,
and they built this company to film this movie, and the cameras they built, everything that it was first time through. Like they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah,
that's incredible. Peter Cushing, who's Grand Moff Tarkin, had a pair of boots that he would wear that was so uncomfortable that for all of his shots, you don't see his feet because he's wearing pink fuzzy slippers.
Nice.
Yeah. So, yes. And also another one, Dennis Lawson, who is Wedge Antilles, is Ewan McGregor's uncle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just going back to the boots, I got one here because Luke Skywalker or Mark Hamill kept his boots from the original movie.
Yep.
And when they were re-released to the theaters in the 90s, his son said, one of his sons said, "Can I wear your boots to the movies?" And Hamill was like, "No, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, you won't get out alive if somebody knows they're the original boots from the original movie. Like, you won't come home with those."
No.
Yeah. Okay, so still on Mark Hamill. So apparently the studio executives were like super unhappy that Chewbacca is nude. And they tried to get the costume department to make shorts for him.
No.
Yeah.
Well, what is the thing he wears around down his...
Bandolier.
That thing from his shoulder
It's a
down.
bandolier.
And what is it for?
It's got bullets in it.
Yeah, it's
I know
he's got a laser gun.
It's an ammo belt.
It's an ammo belt. It's a bandolier. That he's got a bowcaster that shoots lasers.
Yeah, that's the thing, because it looks like an ammo belt, but I'm thinking, but it's not an ammo belt because he's... I don't know.
They wanted to Chewie not to be nude.
Yeah.
They could have gone the Humphrey B. Bear waistcoat.
Oh, just the waistcoat, yeah.
Just a top coat.
Checkered waistcoat like Humphrey B. Bear.
Well, what did Fat Cat wear? Did he have...
He had a red. He had a red.
He had a red.
He had his ass hanging out too?
Yeah, no pants.
Big time. And a hat.
Shit.
And a red or a yellow hat. Okay, so I'm going to read something here, which is quite interesting about, we talked about Alex Guinness earlier, and this is the last piece of listen to this. So the 2003 book, Alec Guinness, The Authorised Biography, reprints several letters that Guinness wrote to his longtime friend and correspondent, Anne Kaufman, in which he expressed his displeasure and the dubiousness about the quality of this movie as it was in production. Before filming started, he wrote, "I've been offered a movie, which I may accept if they come up with proper money. London and North Africa, starting in mid-March. Science fiction, which gives me pause, but is to be directed by Paul Lucas, who did American Graffiti, which makes me feel I should. Big part. Fairy tale rubbish, but could be interesting perhaps." That's the... Then, after filming started, he wrote to Kaufman again to complain about the dialogue and describe his co-stars. "New rubbish dialogue reaches me every other day on wadges of pink paper, and none of it makes my character clear or even bearable. I just think, thankfully, of the lovely bread, which will help keep me going until next April.
Wow.
I must be off to studio and work with a dwarf. Very sweet. He has to wash in a bidet. and your fellow countryman Mark Hamill and Tennyson, that can't be right, Ford. Ellison, ?
Tennyson Ford.
Yeah. Well, a rangy, languid young man who was probably intelligent and amusing. But oh my God, they make me feel 90 and treat me as if I'm 106.
Wow.
Oh, the actor's name is Harrison Ford. Ever heard of him?
My goodness. So these was his letters in 76 or whenever it was being filmed, or 75 or something.
Incredible.
Well, it's funny because he kind of contradicts himself a bit. He's like, this, negative, but I'm looking forward to do it because Paul Lucas did American Graffiti. It's like, well, hang on.
That's what I was saying earlier. He read the script and looked and went, I think this is going to be really good. But he was a Shakespearean actor and had a lot of chops in, and he'd done a lot of big movies. So I think he
can't remember
he did
anyone's
it,
name,
and
though.
partway through it, he was like, "Oh, I've had this movie."
Tennyson and Paul.
Yeah, I've had this movie. Like I'm over it. It's not really a proper movie.
Fairy tale. Oh, that's interesting. But obviously in the end, he made the right decision. He did it really well, and it was an iconic character.
Paid a lot of money.
Yeah, he's best known for sure. Like nothing.
A lot
of money. Yeah.
Mm.
Well,
that's the bread. That's the bread, I'm assuming, and not the Tunisian.
Correct.
Bread.
Lubna. Okay, 1 degree of Kurt Russell. There's nothing, but Kurt Russell did read.
That's exactly right. If you audition, I'm sure that's a 1 degree.
That's a 1 degree of Kurt Russell. So Kurt Russell did read for this movie, and there is footage of him reading for this movie.
And he put the pressure on George Lucas to go, come on, make your decision, and then they sort of cut him go because he had to do something else.
Yeah, he would have been doing a Disney Kids movie.
Well, also, what about 1 degree of Quigley Down Under?
Yep, it's in there.
What have you got?
Well, Tom Selleck was going to play the role of Harrison Ford.
No,
he was going to be. He was going to be Indiana Jones.
He was going to be.
In Indiana Jones.
No. He was going to be Han Solo.
He was going to be Han Solo.
Did Tom Selleck audition for Han Solo?
He was going to be Han Solo, and then he was contracted to do Magnum, so he had to leave to do that.
No, that was Indiana Jones that stopped him from doing that.
Oh, that was too.
But he did audition for Han Solo.
Well, I do have one too, but Simon Windsor, who directed Quigley, also directed the TV series The Adventures of Young Indiana Jones. Oh. And Harrison Ford was in 1 episode.
Really?
Yep. Of the 100 and something episodes that were done. Simon Windsor only directed 6 episodes, but he directed the series that Han Solo was in.
Well, that's a loose. This is a loose carry.
But
this is what we having. The ref would
same
go.
Same series. Maybe it's a 2. Maybe it's a 1.5.
Ronaldo Mulitalo would be going ripped out, so ripped out, and the ref would be saying loose carry.
Loose carry.
Yes. Okay, notable quotables. To be honest, there's not a heap, right? There's the massive ones like
power converters.
Well, yeah. What have you got, Gow, for notable quotables?
Oh, look, we've been through most of them. I find your lack of faith disturbing. Yeah. Obviously, Han Solo's scene where I'm fine, we're all fine. How are you?
Yeah, it's excellent.
Boring
conversation anyway.
Yeah. Luke, we're gonna have company. Yeah. The other one that I had is what is his name? Dr. Ezevan?
Dr. Ezevan.
Walrus Man.
Yeah, and that's one.
Big face.
So many times I've done it with Morgs where he's gone, sorry, what'd you say? And I go, he said he doesn't like you. I don't like you either.
I don't like you either.
All the time. Yeah. We say that all the time.
That is pretty funny. He was scary, though. That when I saw that in the movies as a kid, I remember going, that's such a scary looking bastard.
Ugly man.
Yeah.
Ugly
You'll be dead.
Yeah.
Okay, I've got Damo. You got anything?
But imagine just someone in a bar,
just randomly like, I don't like you either.
No, but I did like the Mos Eisley one. You'll never find a more
Mos Eisley Spaceport. You'll never find a more wretched hive of scum and villainy.
Yeah,
we must be cautious.
But yeah, there are lots of things all the way through it. But
the Jedi mind trick, like move along.
Yeah. These are not the droids you're looking for. Yeah,
I like wonderful girl. Either I'm going to kill her or I'm beginning to like her. And I had no, I don't like you either. And so we all had pretty much the same ones.
Nerf herders, that scruffy nerf herders.
Well, that's Empire. But
that's Empire.
Yeah, but it's still that's
Empire. And laugh it up.
Oh, sorry,
but that's Empire.
walking carpet. Get this walking carpet out of my way.
That's right. Yeah,
she's such a bitch, isn't she? Leia?
Yeah, she's quite
uppity.
She's taking control. Like we've just got you out. You know.
Yeah, a little short for a stormtrooper.
Yeah. Huh? And then, good exit plan. And then she shoots and they go
Yeah.
go into the
Wonderful
trash.
plan.
Yeah, the trash is like,
Yeah.
why the hell are they going there? And also the depth of the water. Like, how does that work? They're standing there ankle deep, but Luke goes down.
Yeah, I know.
And where
Just
does that?
take
Where
it
does the
that thing go? Where does it go?
Why is it there?
I don't know, but you do
Yeah.
hear the noise. Obviously, it escapes through.
Yeah, it goes
Because
they let it back
they
out.
started to shut.
Yeah.
It's like, I got to get out of here.
Yeah, it's a really odd character to have there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, okay, well done. Let's move into film school for F-wits. And without Dan today, it should be a reasonable amount of time that this goes for. Talked earlier about the 1970s being the decade that changed everything in film. And every year there is an iconic film that changed the way films were done either for that genre or for the industry in general. So we're going to start in 1970. MASH was released. The movie MASH was released. Obviously, it would go on to be an absolute phenomenon as a TV series, which ran for 11 years, about the Korean War. Still today, it's shown. I think they were saying that somewhere in the world, someone's watching an episode of MASH. Still today.
I'd agree.
Right?
Yeah.
And I actually just rewatched the whole series about, probably during COVID, I think I went from episode 1 all the way through to
No.
Goodbye, Farewell, Amen.
Wow.
It's very good. Very good.
It is, yeah.
But it does become a Alan Alda, pretentious, look at me. And then you can definitely tell the episodes.
You can tell when he takes over the
You can
directing.
tell when he directs.
Yeah.
Oh,
Definitely, right. Okay, so that's 1970. 71, Dirty Harry.
Mm.
Redefined the gritty cop drama. In that same year, French Connection came out as well. So between those two, redefined what we thought about cop movies and procedurals and that R-rated crime drama. And I watch Dirty Harry all the time still today. It's freaking amazing.
Awesome.
Freaking amazing movie. 72, arguably the greatest movie ever made, The Godfather. From a massive novel, what they squeezed into a 3-hour movie is incredible. And it is just still today eminently rewatchable. I watch it regularly. I watched it again just the other day. Part of it, so good.
I've seen it once.
God, mate, go back and watch it again.
It is worth a watch.
Fuck,
It's a good
Damo,
movie.
Come on. Come on. 73, we'll go from arguably the greatest movie ever made to arguably the greatest horror movie of all time.
That's
The Exorcist.
Yeah.
Incredible movie. Again, adapted from a book. William Peter Blatty, who ended up helping to write the screenplay.
It was spooky. It was disturbing.
And mate, it's disturbing. It is so good even now. I remember watching it. They re-released it, and the version you'd never seen, where they added the spider crawl down the stairs, where she's arched over on her back, and she comes down the stairs. That was not in the original cut, and they also added some more screen cutting to black, where the Pazuzu devil would be on the screen. And I saw it in the cinema, in a packed cinema. Man, it's
You saw that in the movie?
No, the re-release.
Oh,
It was maybe it was the 30th anniversary
You're
or
right,
something,
yeah,
and it
yeah.
was like maybe in 2003 they re-released it when they did the version you've never seen, and they re-released the cinema. And oh my god, I wouldn't say I watch this every year, but I would watch this regularly. Incredible film. 74 is The Godfather 2. So what becomes then is the sequel better than the original discussion, and it's the multi-layered timelines. Coppola just owning it. Robert De Niro, just incredible film. Really, really good. I don't think it's better than the original, but
Him and Marlon Brando are the only people to get an Academy Award for playing the same role.
Yeah.
Or same character, sorry. Same role, same character.
Okay. This is where it gets really interesting, and this is where we start to define movies and genres as a whole. 75 is Jaws. So it defines the summer blockbuster, changes the way that movies are released forever. Movies were never released in summer. They were always released around Christmas in the US because people were on holidays. This was released in the middle of the year, and it was only released in the middle of the year because it ran so far over. And it got released in summer.
When everyone wants to go to the beach.
This is it. So, and it's still today, it has such a powerful effect on popular culture. It's an incredible film. My number 2 in my list. Love it. Watch it all the time. Do you know the reason they call it blockbuster?
No.
So they call it a blockbuster because the lines for the movie
I'll
busted
go around the block.
Yeah. Yeah. Pretty incredible.
Okay.
Yeah. So there you go. 76. Rocky,
Good
and the
movie.
sport movie is born. And there arguably, has there been a better sport movie than the original Rocky? Maybe. It's definitely right up there still.
Yeah.
Changed the way sport movies were looked at.
Probably
Incredible
for me it
movie.
is the best, yeah.
Yeah. 77, Star Wars.
Well, without a doubt.
Without a doubt. Changed everything. So what George did, Star Wars said, hold my beer,
Yeah.
and just changed the world. Okay? The science fiction was essentially effectively born and taken to the next level. And the Phenom movie. The movie that
special effects, for the first time something looked real.
Yeah.
There wasn't lines and wires and clunky looking movement. It was like, wow.
Yeah. It felt real. You're right. It just felt real. 78, Superman.
Okay.
The superhero genre
Yeah.
is born on film. There'd not been a superhero movie really committed to film.
I remember a Spider-Man movie, seeing a Spider-Man movie.
That was a
at the
TV
movies.
movie. That was The Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, I remember
But it was a
that.
TV movie that they released in the cinema.
Okay.
And it might have been the year before this. So it might have been in 77.
Yeah, around then.
But if we talk about Superman, the original movie, that was
massive.
That was massive.
Huge.
Richard Donner.
Yeah. Massive film. And a huge undertaking. And again, it looks pretty real when he's flying. Like it still holds up today.
Yep.
Gene Hackman's amazing as Lex Luthor. It's a good movie, really is. And it's an absolute shame what happened to Christopher Reeve.
Yeah.
79, I've got two movies here, but we've got Alien. Changes what we think about sci-fi and horror.
And horror, yeah.
Right? And Apocalypse Now, which is the first real deep dive into the Vietnam War.
And not a glamorous look
Not
at
a
the war.
glamorous look at war, right? This
yeah.
is the dirty underbelly of the Vietnam War. 1980, we've got Empire Strikes Back, and now we're talking about the sequel being better than the original. It takes Godfather 2 and says, look, let's just see what we can do here. In those 11 years, if we take 1980 into it, those 11 or 12 movies there, they changed the world. Every year there was a movie that defined either a genre or the industry.
Yep.
That's never happened again.
No.
That has never happened again. If you went through, you could not do a list for the 80s that went, well, yeah, there's good movies. Don't get me wrong. But they're running off the back of these
All
movies.
these
here.
new benchmark setting
No.
movies every year.
Matthew.
Sorry. I
I
know what's coming.
Enter the Dragon,
I
something.
think you've forgotten that 1983. Sho Kosugi and Keith Vitale reinvent the way ninja movies are made.
Okay, yeah.
Revenge of the Ninja.
Yeah.
Sam Furstenberg delivers us a masterpiece.
Okay.
And that paved the way for movies after that time. All action / ninja movies.
And that, yeah,
I'm
you're
beginning
spot
to
on.
question your credentials if you
Well,
don't bring that up.
I didn't go to 83.
Yeah, that's he's deliberately snubbed it because it's a clear.
That's a snubbing.
Yeah.
Okay, I stand corrected.
Should've been the
I
top
stand
of the list.
corrected. I won't need to wash my mouth out when I mention Revenge of the Ninja in the same breath as The Godfather in the future.
Like, you might get a ninja star to the neck if you keep this up.
Okay.
Well, tell
Be quiet.
tell Rounders, and he'll come.
Yeah.
And you'll get a knock on your door, mate.
Yeah, rounders.
You'll get a knock on your door, and it'll be Rounders.
All right, so that is Film School for F-Wits. So there we go. And here we normally have Stan Bush kick-ass credits, but I actually don't think we can do this movie justice. So what we're going to do in replace of this is Damo has brought in the original Star Wars Trivial Pursuit game. Now, the history, it's called the Classic Trilogy Collector's Edition. Now, this I reckon has come out in the late 90s, probably around the same time as the re-release of the trilogy. Now, the history behind this exact game is that three men in this room, and actually Damo's brother, Brendan, he and Brendan were a team.
Yep, Team Giles.
Gow and Dan were a team. And Sloan, who joined us for Commando in the very early days of Born to Watch, and myself were an unbeatable team.
Oh, good God.
We won it.
Revision.
did
A bit of
Me and Morgs
revisionist
won it.
history here. You did win one game, but you didn't win the whole thing. I did.
No, we won.
No.
You
we,
won it.
We said last game wins.
Oh,
I'm fairly certain that there was no one that came anywhere close to
Okay,
Sloan
you tell
and
me
I.
your story then. Your version of
We
events.
were clear winners.
Yeah, okay.
Everything.
There was 3 games.
And we won all 3.
We all won one each. And I always talk about chunk count, came second in 2 that I lost. So I got a first and 2 seconds. So I said Team Giles wins. And then you and Sloan,
So it's like that's your medal tally,
yeah,
like the Olympics. So
yeah. Let's go on. Yeah, go on chunk count. If you go on chunk count, it's me and boy.
So what we're doing now while we're arguing the point,
Yeah.
it's quite obvious.
let me just read out a couple of
that's
questions.
Sloan.
So I don't know what CH category is, but anyway,
No.
I'll have to read the instructions. Who grabbed his light? Oh God, who grabbed his blaster rifle for protection when he saw sand people approaching?
Oh, Luke.
Yeah, there is. I'm just having a look. There's some easy ones here.
Yeah,
But here's one for you.
Yep.
Who flew his X-wing out of the Death Star's trench under Luke Skywalker's orders?
Was it Wedge?
Yeah, it's Wedge.
Full name, please.
Wedge
Antilles.
Yeah, well done. You can't do any good back there.
So we're just reading whatever we want now.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Try and find a hard one on there.
I'll try and read.
Here we go. What rebel pilot lost his starboard engine just before losing his life to Vader?
Which we can go again?
What rebel pilot lost his starboard engine
Biggs.
just before... Full name, please.
Biggs Darklighter.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay, this might be a little.
It's sounding like my story might be fucking true just quietly. But anyway, continue. Continue.
I handpicked these ones for you.
Who was charged with overseeing the construction of the second Death Star? Oh, so this is moving into the next one.
Second Death Star.
So we're talking the third
The
movie
third
now.
movie.
Yeah,
So that's
because this is the three movies.
Oh, I remember it's the guy.
Oh.
We shot double our efforts.
Yes, that guy.
I don't know what his name is.
Moff Gerard.
Okay.
Yeah. There are
What political body was dissolved by the Emperor during Star Wars?
the Senate.
Full name.
The Imperial Senate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Mhm. People, I'd like a vote here.
What planet is inhabited by snakes, lizards, and flying pterosaurs?
Dagobah.
Yeah.
Okay. What character is the only person to fire a blaster directly at Darth Vader?
Han.
Yep.
Yeah, and it hit him in the hands.
Yeah.
No, he just pushed it away.
Cloud
yeah.
City.
Yeah.
Cloud City.
Oh, do you want to? Well, can I show you the dice for the game? So
Yeah,
the dice
please
is R2D. I did press it before. So R2D2. You press his head. Hang on, here I go. Right. So then and that comes up with a number 4. So that this is the same battery from whenever I got this 20 odd years ago, and it's still working with R2D2.
I got one. That's very good. It's incredible that the battery life lasts so long.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
R2 doesn't need to shut down like C-3PO.
Yeah.
Last question.
Yep.
What planet did Leia name as the location of the rebel base while being interrogated?
Dantooine.
Dantooine. Yeah.
Yes, well done. Dantooine.
Dantooine.
The base is on Dantooine.
Where is poor old Dantooine anyway? Sticking it anyway. This hasn't been open for quite a while. And it's like, oh.
It's such a good game.
It is, yeah.
Let's move into the rank bank. And I've got a few options here for us, and I'd love to get some feedback on you. Okay, so our choice tonight is Hives of Scum and Villainy. Thousands of Crying Voices. Jedi Mind Tricks. Han Shoots Firsts. Intergalactic Love Triangles. Unintentional Incestuous Feelings.
Jesus.
Dick Nose Spies.
Hey, what was your first two? I thought they were
Hives of Scum and Villainy.
And was the next one?
Thousands of Crying Voices.
And what we haven't got power converters in there.
Oh, no, we don't have power converters in there.
I reckon Power Converter is a good one.
Power converters? All right, we're going to go to Toshi Station because of power converters. Okay, so let's...
Either that or Womp Rats.
Shoot him in his T16.
And they're not much bigger than 2 meters. All right, so we're going to start with our guest. How many power converters are you giving Star Wars Episode 4?
Yeah, well, I suppose for you guys too, there might have been a little bit of a spoiler alert from last week's episode, which I
maybe
wasn't
it may not get full marks.
Yep.
But it may.
Well, yeah, and as you know, you can say like, has all the new shit sort of tarnished? Yep, it has. But I'm going to keep this movie in context for when I saw it and for those first ever 20, 30 years of my life. It's always been my number one movie. I suppose like it's kind of wavering now. It's not as doesn't hold up, but I'm going to keep it back in context. It's a 5.
I don't think that I could explain it any better than what you just did, Damo. Like, that's exactly it. So it's a 5 for me.
Yeah.
Well, surprise, surprise, we're going to have our second full service 5-star movie. Goodfellas was our first. I'm giving this 5 stars. If I could give it 7, I would. This is my favourite movie of all time, and I don't think it'll ever be supplanted. It's the movie that made me fall in love with movies. This is the reason we do this podcast. Well, this and the one we do for our first birthday will be the reason that we do this podcast. It'd be interesting. It would have been this would have been a really good episode to have Dan here, because it would have been interesting to see what he rated it. But with the three of us, this is a 5-star movie, and Gow, that's going to make it very easy for you to tell us where it is on the list.
You just told us it's equal first spot with Goodfellas.
Yeah.
Doesn't have an asterisk to be the top one.
It should.
No, it's
It's time. You can have plenty. There'll be plenty of 5s probably. Or not plenty
there's probably going to be a few in the future that could possibly be perfect films.
I reckon I know one that would probably be a James Cameron-y sort of one, maybe.
Yeah, I think that definitely is a big chance of being a 5. It's definitely a 5 from Dan, that one. But look,
well, we'll see as we move forward. I mean, there's 2 in top spot at the moment. There's a lot of other movies that we will cover
for sure
that could potentially be up there.
But I don't think it would be naive to think that most of the movies individually that we have on our top 10 list we may consider to be 5-star movies.
Like Wake in Fright could be the next equal leader.
Could be. It could be.
Yeah,
it could be.
Could be.
It could be. We'll wait and see. Okay, look, if you loved Star Wars, what are you going to watch? Damo?
Spaceballs.
Yeah.
But no, if you wanted something that I think, I'm trying to think of a different science fiction. I'm going to go the Chronicles of Riddick.
Okay.
With the Necromongers. You got this evil empire. You got one guy standing against them, and it's in space. And I actually it's a much down and dirty sort of version of space, but I actually really like the Chronicles of Riddick.
Good call. What about you, Gow?
If you like this movie, you should watch The Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think you should.
Is there a sequel?
I look one that's a little bit left field, but it's sort of in the Star Wars realm is The Last Starfighter.
Oh yeah.
Oh mate,
I love this movie as a kid.
It's a great movie.
It's an awesome movie.
Still great.
Yeah,
that's a really good choice.
And
Gow.
I haven't seen this for so long, but I just remember watching as a kid and really every time you could just put it on and just love watching this movie.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen it, people, go out and watch The Last Starfighter.
And
was it 84? 84, yeah.
It could have been any of us could have been picked because it was he could play the game.
Yep.
Well, it's Gow. There's a big chance Gow would have been picked. Gow spent a lot of time on the pennies.
That's what I think. It's like everyone's like, you know what? I'm really good on this. I can play this game. I might get picked. You know?
Maybe I'll get transported into Ikarai Warriors. Right. Look, good choice, Gow. Really good. And I've got something similar ilk. It's a bit of a Star Wars ripoff, but it's also a bit of a Seven Samurai and the Magnificent Seven ripoff. Battle Beyond the Stars.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes. Oh my gosh.
John Boy.
Yeah. And Robert Vaughn.
Yeah, Robert Vaughn.
And the lady, she was like I think she might have done a bit of Playboy or something too. The blonde-haired warrior woman.
Yeah. Yes.
It's a good sort.
I forget what her name is. But it's effectively home planet's being attacked. They try to get a team of mercenaries to attack the baddies. And it's a Roger Corman film.
I saw it at the movies.
Yeah. It's a good movie. It's good fun. It's worth watching. If you can track it down, Battle Beyond the Stars. It certainly doesn't have the budget of Star Wars.
But like John Boy's ship just looks crap.
It's crap.
Like
it's a crap ship.
But Robert Vaughn. Oh, and George Papard.
George
Cowboy.
Papard's in it. That's right.
Yeah.
He is too, yeah.
Yeah. He's pretty funny in it, actually.
Yeah, it's worth a watch.
Drinking and smoking. And
The other one is if you want to really deep dive into Star Wars, the original trilogy, there is an excellent documentary, and it's on Disney, called Empire of Dreams, and it just tells about the behind the scenes of the first 3 films, 4, 5, and 6. It's a real deep dive. I watched it to prepare for this as well. I'd seen it heaps and heaps and heaps of times, but there is so much other stuff on YouTube and behind the scenes and making ofs of the Star Wars stuff, which really is incredible. Like guys that I remember, like, Dennis Muren and all these guys, which are like special effects artists that worked on this movie that I shouldn't know Dennis Muren's name.
Yeah.
Right? Ralph McQuarrie. I shouldn't know his name.
Jeez.
Right? I shouldn't know these guys' names, but I do because I watched this behind the scenes stuff. Really, really interesting to see how they brought it to life and made it look so good. Okay, well, I think that's it for Star Wars. We're pretty good there. Pretty good.
pod.
Actually,
I like it.
Had you heard of Hardware Wars? Because I know when I went to in 1978, they made it, and you had to actually, because it's never on video or anything, but in 1978, when I went to the drive-ins to watch something else, there was a 10-minute movie before it called Hardware Wars. It was a whole piss take of Star Wars. Like Han Solo was called Ham Salad. His gun was a drill. The spaceships were toasters or irons.
Right.
And it was called Hardware Wars, but it was on at the drive-ins before the movies. It was a 10-minute movie called Hardware Wars. And it's actually, I think it's on YouTube now, but Ben Kenobi was Oggy Ben Doggy. Luke was, I can't even think of his name, but they all had different names.
So it was like
it's a short film.
Bunnings was the Galactic Empire, and Mitre 10 is the Rebellion.
It was called Hardware Wars.
No, never
To
heard of
look
it.
that one up. Hardware
No,
Wars.
I remember seeing it.
And Gow don't think that's just a left-handed comment, just to shut you up. Gow will actually go home and watch that because he went straight home after the top 10 and watched Wake in Fright.
Yeah, I wasn't that tempted to have a look at it.
And you shouldn't be.
Yeah.
That's it for this week's pod. Star Wars Episode 4, my favourite movie, Gow's favourite movie, Damo's favourite movie. And if Dan was here, I think he'd rate it quite well if he could silo it away. We will be back next week, and we've got a viewer or a listener recommendation for us. The Barrel Buyers Agent down there in Barrel, doing good things in the real estate market, helping people find their dream home, has suggested we look at Molly's Game, starring Jessica Chastain, who I vowed
she was on your
proclaimed could be my number one for now. Very beautiful red hair.
Yeah, so you got a hall pass for that one.
I did get a hall pass. Megan gave me a hall pass.
approved.
So Jessica, make a movie on the Goldie. It's game on.
Yeah.
You know, might get a room at the Star.
Yeah.
You know, we'll put 5 on. You know, 5 in.
Five.
Put
Five in.
5 in the pokies, and then I'll put 5 in upstairs.
You're taking a poker machine upstairs too.
Well, there'll be some poker played. Don't worry about that. Okay, Damo, thank you very much for filling fairly big shoes again.
Yep, no problem.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you for bringing the Trivial Pursuit game in, which
is a cracker.
will be an argument. Will be an argument till the end of time.
Forever. Yeah, chunk count.
Gow, another solid effort for you. Well done.
Great to be here.
Yeah.
Love doing this one.
Yeah, it was good fun. Thank you for supporting us. Make sure you share to your friends. We've just hit the charts in New Zealand, number 7 in film reviews in the New Zealand Apple charts. So thank you to
Kiwis,
to our Kiwi mates across the Dutch, and keep Dutching. And we shall see you next week on the line. Bye for now.
Well, we just got to do the everybody laugh ending though. So I'm going to say the line.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so I'm going to say the line, and then we're all going to do. This is all spontaneous, by the way.
Absolutely.
Okay, you ready? What do you mean you're out of power converters?
Thank you for listening to this episode of Born to Watch. To join us on our journey into some of our favourite movies of all time, you can find us on all good podcast networks like Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you like what you hear, give us a 5-star review and share with your friends.